But first, homeowners, when is the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are targeting your equity with just a single forged document they file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Monday, keep your eye on big, bad Vlad Putin. So my book, Confronting Evil, comes out September 9th. You can pre-order it, of course, BillO'Reilly.com, Amazon, wherever. Putin is on the cover, along with the Ayatollah Khomeini, Mao Zedong, and Adolf Hitler. And then inside there are 8 other heinous individuals that I write about. Now, why did Putin make the cover? Well, he is a psychopath. He will kill millions of people for no reason. Yes, the others did too. But this is a modern day situation with Putin. Now, President Trump has to deal with him directly. The president believed he could persuade Putin to stop the Ukrainian invasion. That's what he believed. He did deal with Putin effectively in his first term, Trump did. But his optimism about bad Vlad has not come true. And that is a big frustration for President Trump, believe me. So what's going to happen now? I don't know. I do believe that banking sanctions should be put on the Russians, that you can strangle their economy totally by telling worldwide banks, you are not to do business with Moscow. And if you do, then we will crush you. We being the EU and the United States. You got to handle Putin. He's out of control. He's killing too many people. Back in a moment. Bill O'Reilly here. If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog lifts into a deck of partly cloudy skies as the morning progresses. And then this afternoon, maybe an isolated storm or two possible, mainly south of St. Louis. It's going to be a muggy day, but not overly hot, a high of 87. Partly cloudy and dry overnight tonight, down to 73 for the low. And then chances of wet weather a bit higher tomorrow with about a 50% chance of rain and storms, up to 89 degrees Tuesday afternoon. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
I hope you had a fantastic weekend. We got a lot of ground to cover here on this Monday. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike Ferguson. We'll get to all that in just a little bit here. Interesting conversation we had on Friday. Chris Martz recently graduated with a degree in meteorology, and he's now an analyst for the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, and they're on the show from time to time. And he committed that sin of questioning the left-wing narrative, questioning the climate cult, saying, well, what are the facts? And he gets into a spat with the National Public Radio reporter. Well, that just shows you that for a lot of people, ideology is more important than truth. And tragically, when we're talking about this flooding in Texas, it's apparently more important than actual people's lives. Here's how that conversation went. It was very insightful. You've got this NPR reporter in Kansas City, and he essentially was doing what? He was repeating all of the man-made climate change. This is unprecedented. This is why these Central Texas floods happened. And you essentially said, by the way, I have a degree in this. That's not completely accurate. How did the exchange go?
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. So the whole story about that is very interesting because I had posted about the facts behind the flooding in Texas. And the data show that if you look at the river discharge or stream flow, which is the amount, the flux of water, the volume per unit of time, so in this case, cubic feet per second, and at the Guadalupe River, different stream flow stations that they measure this stuff at, that's used to measure floods, they've actually decreased with time. And on the EPA's website, you can find that the frequency of river flooding in Texas has decreased since 1965. And that's all their public data for people to look at. And this NPR reporter replied and said, well, heavier rainfall events is going to increases flooding potential. And that's not necessarily true because flooding depends on, and this is what the IPC, the United Nations government report, says about floods. It says that even if you have heavier rainfall, it does not necessarily translate to more flooding because of the type of river basin, the intensity and duration of rainfall, snowmelt factors, other stuff, a whole bunch of other factors that go into that. And so he just appealed to authority by saying that, well, you wasted money on your degree. And so I asked him, I actually calculated, because he brought the heavy rainfall argument. I looked at all long-term stations in Texas, and there's 21 of them with over 100 years of data that has very few missing days per year. And this goes back to 1895. I looked at the annual maximum one-day precipitation, the highest annual one-day rainfall averaged per station, and there's been a very, very slight increase since 1895, but the coefficient of determination on that has a 2.7% explained variance, which means it's not statistically significant at all. And if you look at the last 50 years, heavy precipitation has actually decreased in Texas, contrary to his claim.
Morning, Chris. Gabe here. So I'm loving the nerding out stuff. So
Gabe is a scientist as well, but in a different field.
Yeah,
he's got the sciencey mind. So brace yourself, Chris.
I do come from a different field. I'm more of a rocket scientist than anything else, but I know how to read studies. I'm always fascinated with the people who have this go-to reaction that all current meteorological events are related to this overarching idea of climate change, and that seems to be wrong pretty much 99% of the time. What do you make of this kind of weird confluence of climate, which is a study of a much larger body of work, and weather?
Well, climate is a long-term, as you mentioned, long-term statistical description of the Earth's climate system, including the mean and the variability of the weather. And this is, defined in the IPCC's glossary. You can look that up. And climate change is essentially a change in the statistics of weather. But neither climate or climate change are physical forces that cause things to occur. They are outcomes. So while say a change in frequency in flooding could be evidence of climate change, that does not mean that climate change caused a particular flood or particular event. And we see a lot of these things called event attribution studies. A lot of them are published by this group called the World Weather Attribution, which is bankrolled by a lot of donors that donate to democratic causes and environmental organizations. There's some conflicts of interest about that, and the architects behind these event attribution studies actually admitted to Politico that these studies are designed with the intention of using evidence of climate change causing a weather event to sue oil and gas companies. So it's not science, it's pseudoscience.
Yeah. We're visiting with Chris Martz, a policy analyst with the Committee for Constructive Tomorrow, or CFACT, and we'll tell you how to get in touch with their work and check out what they do here in just a couple of minutes. So, Chris, let me talk about kind of what we're talking about. And that is what you've got is an immediate rush in the course of a tragedy. Flooding, so many people have been killed, so many people are still missing, and they run to political narratives. Somebody says, wait a minute, being you, let's talk about some of the actual facts and context on this. And they weren't, as I understand what you're saying, arguing necessarily as much about, no, here's why your facts and scientific approach are wrong. It sounds like it was more, how dare you challenge the narrative? And then I know who this reporter is. I used to live in the Kansas City area. I don't think I know him personally, but I know who he is. Very, very left wing, which is typical of NPR. But it sounds like it was more about, how dare you challenge the narrative? You are now part of this so-called scientific community, so therefore you're just supposed to buy in and promote the narrative. Can that be dangerous to actual people? I mean, there's the ideological aspect, but we have people who are making decisions based on narratives instead of facts now.
Well, science is always about questioning. It's always about, questioning the status quo. By nature, scientists are supposed to be skeptical of anything. And I don't believe anything anybody tells me, really, until I double check it or triple check it for myself to make sure that what I'm saying or what I'm posting or what I think is based in fact. And so these constant appeals to authority are dangerous because, in terms of public safety, too, because if people are over exaggerating climate change, for example, the impacts of it, that could lead to some seriously bad policy, because it's going to lead to people to not want to do anything to maybe take better care of our environment in general, not climate necessarily, but, just general pollution and stuff. And so people are going to take it seriously. And the people who exaggerate climate change and whatever are far more dangerous to the general welfare of people than the people that, supposedly deny everything. And also on the front of the energy policy thing, a lot of this consensus science that we talk about promotes really disastrous energy policies that make energy unaffordable. It raises our cost of living, and it makes the state of human welfare deteriorate because because these policies force unreliable energy on people. So it's very dangerous to follow this kind of line of thinking. And when people say that I'm at odds with a bunch of scientists, I like to cite the Albert Einstein quote. Well, if I was wrong, it'll only take one scientist, not 10,000 of them.
One of the things that I find maddening about the whole climate discussion is that we're conflating a number of different questions. Mm-hmm. You got the question of, okay, is the climate changing? How is the climate changing? What are the mechanisms that causes climate to change? How are humans impacting that? Are the changes catastrophic for human flourish? All of these different questions are being answered, in one breath by the climate zealots out there, but nobody's actually, kind of looking at the individual components, and all of those things get lost in our public discussions of this. And that leads me to the question about the watermelons, right? You've got they're red on the inside because they're communists, but they're green on the outside. So they're trying to make themselves look like environmentalists. How is it? How are we supposed to uncover and unmask the watermelons out there trying to guide public policy towards their communist utopia by using green energy and the climate to cover themselves?
That's a good analogy. That's one that I've used on social media before, and it really makes people madder than a midget in a yo-yo contest. But my favorite way to expose these people, and I love this because I don't like hypocrites. I really don't. I try to always live the way that I preach, or practice what I preach rather, and so. All these climate activists who claim that, they like to say, and you can attest to this, mm-hmm. They like to say, well, we need to reduce CO2 emissions now. We need to like net zero now. We got to do all these crazy things. And then you ask them, okay, well, how many Teslas do you own? How much have you done to reduce your carbon footprint? And they will say that, they stutter like that, and they can't come up with they never want to take any steps of their own to be proactive in reducing their own carbon footprint. They don't want to give up flying. They don't want to give up their cars. They don't want to give up their Wi-Fi connection or social media use, which actually has a large carbon footprint. And so they want you to stop doing these things, but they get exempt themselves. And also, the phone will say that, the world's overpopulated. There's too many people. And then you ask them, okay, well, why don't you start with yourself? And that sounds kind of harsh, but it's the truth. I mean, if you're going to say that, then why not lead by example? And so they never do this. And so it just goes to show that they actually don't really care about what they're talking about. They just have political motivations behind what they're saying.
All right, 314-912-1019. Or by the way, you can call us through the News Talk STL app. So check that out, play around with that. Love to get your opinion on the air here with us. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are, and we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
1019 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. This is what leftists are getting violent in protection of when it comes to illegal immigration, because now we're getting outright, we think we're untouchable violence from leftist protesters.
Yeah.
And they're almost, however you think they look, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what we're getting. I'm not saying that as a joke this time. They're the young, white, privileged activists who basically don't feel that they're accountable for anything. And now we're being told that in those raids in California, which, by the way, had a much darker side than we realized at the time we were talking about it on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Much darker. There's now one person being accused of actually firing a handgun at law enforcement. In this, we were making fun of the dummy who was trying to shove a Mexican flagpole in these reinforced military vehicle tires. But they are out there trying to kill. And so now we get more information on what happened And my leftist friends out there, and I know that there's a lot of leftists who listen to the program who would never admit it. I'm wanting to ask you an honest question. This is what you're defending? Because now we find out that there were trafficked children working the cannabis farms. There were actually 2 raids. There were children. There were at least 10 children. Some of them, the official word is unaccompanied, which means their parents weren't there. Their guardians weren't there. They were trafficked for labor.
To the quote unquote strawberry fields, not the marijuana farm, the strawberry fields. And absolutely, this is what happens when years of them not being held accountable for their actions and being allowed to cheer each other on. I mean, I personally know people that are both Dem and leftists, because leftists are they view the Dems as too far right. And they are comparing this to when the revolutionaries were standing up to the British crown. And that's how they view it. They view this as them on the right side of history. They view this as them doing what needs to be done to stand up to tyranny, and because they lack any sense of self-awareness.
Great point. No self-awareness whatsoever. So when you are in your righteous indignation, thinking that you're doing something poignant when you're standing in front of a military vehicle or a National Guard vehicle or a nice vehicle, understand that what you're fighting for is trafficked children working in marijuana fields.
Which, by the way, I have seen some reports stating that they had issues at this place with not paying the people for their labor.
Oh, imagine that.
So pick a hill, pick a battle. You cannot simultaneously say, well, we want them to be able to have better lives, and by the way, we're going to also defend people taking advantage of them. That there's no consistency with this ideology besides we're violent and we think we're right, and shame on you for condemning us.
Yeah, I mean, this is where, when I see stories like this, because we had a lot of fun with this, because, I mean, come on, California marijuana field, illegal aliens. I mean, the jokes just wrote themselves. And then over the weekend, I look at holy crap. There were kids there, and it got even more nefarious. Gavin Newsom tweets out a picture of somebody yelling, pulling a child amid all the tear gas. And this is Donald Trump's America, whatever, Newsom said, children running for their lives. In the Department of Homeland Security retweets that and go, Gavin, why were there children working in the marijuana fields in your state? So you didn't think that one through, Newsom, when you put that out there. But this is the leftist virtue signaling that is happening. And one of the questions I'm going to ask a little bit later on today is, okay, are you okay with, the Trump administration basically doubling down, saying, no, we're going hardcore on this. You want to fight, we're going to fight. The president himself puts out order saying, you know what, somebody gets violent in the protest, go arrest him, do whatever it takes. Basically, he sent the signal out. You want to throw a punch, we're going to throw a punch harder, and we're better equipped to do it. So there is a chance we're going to see an escalation in violence. So what is the right approach? Is it de-escalate at all costs because government's more powerful? Or is it a matter of this is worth fighting for, even if we're fighting against other Americans? And I think that's a big question. I know what I think the answer is, but understand that the cost of this is things getting uglier.
Yes, and I would like to say that the left should thank their lucky stars that we are not as bad as they like to imagine us and accuse us of being. Otherwise, this would be a very, very short conflict. This would be a very, very short disagreement. This would be...
right. Exactly. And this is the thing, when I saw that story, and then I still see, and this is before we get into the whole alligator Alcatraz thing on the other side of the country, where the Democrats are like, these are horrible conditions. And, because I'm at a point when you see all the havoc that's been wrought by illegal aliens. And I understand that there are illegal aliens in the country who have been peaceful other than committing the crime of coming into the country. That doesn't excuse their crime. But when you look at the wailing and the gnashing of the teeth over the conditions at someplace like an alligator Alcatraz, and you say, wait a minute, we know that's for the focused effort of the violent criminals who are in the country illegally. This is who you're crying over. This is who the left takes on as their cause celebs. And this is what they're willing to become violent over, in this case in California. And so it's not just about the policy. This is about who we are. And those on the left, and then there's those on the right who are on the policy side. For instance, with me being pretty conservatarian, and I think libertarians, small L libertarians, well, especially big L libertarians, what few of them are left, they get a lot wrong on immigration. So one of the reasons I probably couldn't join the Libertarian Party ever again is because they are so wrong, dangerously, immorally wrong on immigration issues. You've got the people who are absolutely hardcore against illegal immigration for the right reasons, and some, maybe because they just want to be loyal to a movement. That's the danger of populism, because now we've got the leader basically saying, well, some illegal aliens may be okay. Fortunately, I think a lot of people in the movement, in the MAGA movement, are going, whoa. That's not what I signed up for. So people are holding firm, and I think that's a good thing. I still argue, and I'm going to have to credit Mike Munger, the libertarian professor out of all places, Duke University. He basically says when it comes to immigration, the wall should be high, but the door should be wide. Meaning we have absolute right to say you cannot come in here. You must come through a legal process. But that legal process probably could be better than what it is. So the thing with a wide door is that you still get to shut it.
Yeah.
And so I like Mike's approach on that. And I haven't actually talked to him in person in years, but he's got a good approach on that, saying, you know what? We do have a right to say who can come in and who cannot come in for any reason whatsoever.
Can I pitch something potentially controversial?
Okay. We don't do that on talk radio.
No, never. This is a safe show. No, I'm at the point now, after observing this sort of behavior from the people that are already here, that are supposed to be having American values, put me in charge of an assimilation task force, and I will go through any illegal that actually has American values. I will help ensure that they speak fluent English. We're going to anglicize their names so it's easier to pronounce. And anybody that actually wants to be here, uphold the amendments, and actually live a patriotic American life, I am willing to help assimilate you, and we would give them some sort of permanent residency card. Non-citizenship, they can't vote. Now, the alternative to that, though, is that all these leftist anti-American people that are pro-censorship, anti-gun, they just want to do things to accelerate any sort of anti-American behavior, we put them on the deportation list and we send them off, along with we go after the cartels, we go after the human traffickers. At what point do we not say, why are we allowing people that do not, they hate what America is. They are mad about things that they cannot change. They don't do anything productive for society. They willingly vote for people that are anti-America. Why do we keep giving them a voice? Why do we keep sitting back idly saying, well, you guys are attacking law enforcement. You guys keep talking about how much you hate us and you despise us. And you want to indoctrinate our children and take them away from us. And you hate everything about our country. But on principle, we're better than you. We have the right. It's like, no, you can't win that way when somebody's willing to go way lower than you and they're not willing to have any conversation. They're only interested in violence and vengeance and being destructive. We can't just sit here and keep taking these moral victories.
Yeah. So get some thoughts on that. Send us a note on social media. We're going to come back to this here. I know it gets a minute or so left on this. Sometimes, let me just pivot here because I want to come back to this. I wonder if we shouldn't allow prosecutors to charge people with being criminally dumb.
Yes.
I mean, just criminal stupidity. Okay.
Yes.
I saw this story. Good Lord. This is on Channel 4's website. There's a guy who's sitting his carcass in jail right now. He's going to make an appearance in court tomorrow in Lincoln County because he got mad at the Lincoln County Fair's bag policy.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So again, he's accused. He hasn't been convicted, but there's a guy named Ryan Hartline now faces a first-degree terrorist threat charge.
Jeez.
And second-degree harassment. So apparently he went on a rant on Facebook. Apparently the Lincoln County Fair has a new policy that basically is like the sports stadium policies where if you're going to bring stuff in, the bag has to be clear. And apparently security's checking that. I've never been to a county fair where they've actually checked stuff on the way in, but I guess that's what's happening now. And so he goes on Facebook, apparently, and posts in his brilliant prose, I'ma bring whatever TF I want. Got a problem? Take it up with my sidearm.
Wow.
He's in jail now.
Well, maybe he can go and have some time in Alligator Alcatraz, which I think we're going to talk about in the news dump at 6:04.
My goodness. Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. President Trump's special envoy to Ukraine and Russia has arrived in Kiev to discuss the war and the administration's policy. The visit comes as the president promises to send U.S.-made Patriot missiles to Ukraine.
I haven't agreed on the number yet, but they're going to have some because they do need protection. But the European Union is paying for it. We're not paying anything for it, but we will send it. It'll be business for us, and we will send them Patriots.
On a nightly basis, Russia's military has been pounding Ukrainian cities with hundreds of drones and missiles. Donald Trump has said he's unhappy with Russian President Putin. A wildfire has destroyed an historic lodge and dozens of other structures on the Grand Canyon's north rim, forcing that area to be closed for the rest of the season. Firefighters and hikers in the inner canyon were evacuated over the weekend. There were no injuries. As the search for missing victims of the July 4th flooding in Texas continues, volunteers are helping move debris and clean up. Murray Van Gundy is with Kerrville Bible Church.
One of our members of our church, their house flooded up in Hunt, so we spent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday cleaning their house out, and they were able to salvage the structure of it, ripped all the drywall out of the ceilings, out of the walls. They had 3 feet of mud throughout the whole house. It reached 10 feet in their house, but thankfully they got out safe.
At least 132 people were killed in the devastating floods, more than 170 still missing. The European Union has decided to hold off on imposing retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods that were set to begin today. Over the weekend, President Trump announced 30% tariffs on EU and Mexican goods. In Kentucky, a gunman shot a state trooper yesterday, then fled to a nearby church in Lexington, where he shot and killed 2 women. More at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured pretty bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to relieffactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Are you over the age of 55 and want to secure your wealth with physical gold and silver? We are Advantage Gold, the #1 customer-rated gold company in America. We have been helping investors take their 401ks and retirement accounts and diversify them into physical precious metals like gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Call us right now, 800-900-8000. Just call 800-900-8000 and claim your free gold investing starter kit. Also learn how you might qualify for up to $10,000 in free gold and silver. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Please consult your tax or financial advisor. Call us at 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog lifts into a deck of partly cloudy skies as the morning progresses. And then this afternoon, maybe an isolated storm or two possible, mainly south of St. Louis. It's going to be a muggy day, but not overly hot, a high of 87. Partly cloudy and dry overnight tonight, down to 73 for the low. And then chances of wet weather a bit higher tomorrow with about a 50% chance of rain and storms, up to 89 degrees Tuesday afternoon. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Escape to Augusta, Missouri, where country charm meets endless possibilities. Just a short drive from St. Louis, discover our beautiful wineries, bike the scenic Katy Trail, and explore our rich history. Looking for romance? Our charming bed and breakfasts offer true hospitality with fine dining at local restaurants, wineries, and breweries. It's time to spend some time in the country. Augusta welcomes you. Learn more at augustachamber.org.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michaels Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michaels Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michaels Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Live and local.
Welcome home. And whoosh, sitting in traffic, stuck in a jam, and being entertained by Vic and thunder-stealing Ken.
This is News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Mike Ferguson.
What were you thinking? Mush for brains.
Gabe Phifer.
You're here illegally. Go home.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
It is our time now to stand up and preserve this nation.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Okay, so Alligator Alcatraz is either an internment camp with worms in the food, or it's simply a rough detention center for hardcore criminals. I guess it depends on whether you have an R or a D in front of your name. President Trump is asked about that 1-year mark of the first attempt on his life. And there's actually a little bit of good news when it comes to what's hitting your wallet these days. That's all part of the news dump. It is 6:06. Let's go and dump the news on you.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, let's talk Alligator Alcatraz here.
That's one of my favorite topics.
Oh, my goodness. So as we talked about on Friday, a group of lawmakers were given the tour of the illegal alien detention center over the weekend. After that tour, Florida Democrat Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz told reporters the environment inside the facility is just nothing short of brutal.
The conditions that we saw inside this internment camp, which it is nothing less than that description, were really appalling.
Yeah.
She knows it's essentially a prison, right?
Yes.
Like, and it's not supposed to be, a 5-star hotel level accommodations, right? She knows that.
Well, I don't know that she knows that. I think it's one of those things like she knows that, but does she really know it?
I've seen worse accommodations for Boy Scout troops.
Yeah.
Okay. Going to camp. It's like, come on.
Okay. So responding to that, Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin was on Fox's The Big Weekend Show, and here's what she had to say.
These are air-conditioned facilities. People have
3 meals a day, they get better health care than they probably have had in their entire lives. As immediately upon entrance, they get a medical evaluation and then medical care as those doctors and nurses see fit.
My guess is that the Democrats who were given that tour probably had all their talking points pre-written before they walked in. It did not matter what they found.
No, not at all.
Oh, geez. All right. Okay, so we've got some updates on what's happening regarding these ICE raids, particularly in the western part of the country. This happened after our show ended on Friday. A federal judge in Los Angeles issues a temporary restraining order against ICE on Friday, arguing that the agency violated constitutional rights through its immigration enforcement tactics. Yeah. House Oversight Committee member Congressman Andy Biggs, he's a Republican out of Arizona, was on the Fox Report over the weekend giving his thoughts on that judge's ruling.
The judges here in California and the district courts that are stopping these raids, they are not protecting the citizens of this country, nor are they following the law, in my opinion.
LA Mayor Karen Bass says the city, and I'm quoting here, will never accept the Trump administration's outrageous and un-American acts as normal.
You know what? This is the point at which I think the administration should say we're not obeying these injunctions. We're just
yeah.
You know what? You can cry about it, but enforce it. If you want to stop ICE from actually getting rid of these illegal aliens, send your cops to come and arrest them. Go ahead.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Right. Good luck finding a cop who will do it.
Yeah, really. Exactly.
Yeah, loaded dice Montgomery.
Yeah, he's a little busy fighting for his job right now.
Exactly.
What he's doing. Good Lord. All right. President Trump reigniting the trade war. He's notifying nations about some new tariffs. Here's the story here.
Over the course of the last week, the president sent letters to his foreign counterparts informing them about their new trade taxes. He began by announcing a 25% tax on imported goods from Japan and South Korea, two key allies. Later in the week, the president told Canada that its exports to the U.S. will be hit with 35% tariffs. The White House says the tariffs are set to take effect August 1st. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah, a lot of people have been forgetting that the tariffs, when they were announced and the markets went up and down and all that kind of stuff, most of them have not actually been imposed yet. Some of them have.
Yeah.
But most of them have not. And so I'm seeing actually a lot of my friends are like, look at this. Government took in, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. You were wrong about the tariffs, speaking to, frankly, people like me. And I'm like, they haven't been imposed yet. And there used to be a time when conservatives looked at government taking in hundreds of extra millions of dollars of tax revenue as actually a bad thing because the taxes are paid by us, the consumers. But now it's going to be interesting to see whether the president follows through this time, because he hasn't followed through on most of his tariff plans on this. So when that happens, there's a little bit of a lag, and then prices start going up.
Right. That's how it's supposed to go. Now, I was under the impression that there were some tariffs that were supposed to go in effect like last week. Those were supposed to hit.
There were some.
Now, did they actually get implemented, or are they part of the deal here? Where it's like, okay, here's the actual plan, and it's going to happen in August.
There's one for like different. Every country out there's got a different thing.
Well, yes,
just kind of based on the president's whims at this point. And so we've talked, with the members of Congress about that on this program, and there are more members of Congress, particularly Republicans, like, the Constitution gave us that authority. Maybe we ought to reclaim this.
Yeah.
But they also don't want to get into too much of a fight with the president of their own party right now. So it's a tenuous situation politically, but understand there's also a lot of instability weeks away right now. So we'll see whether the president follows through or whether it's just more tough talk.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the intention of these, as I understand it, as some people in the administration have said, is a negotiating tactic. Now, again, with the ones that are implemented, I don't like those either. But here's hoping that it doesn't really hit. But I'm just glad my wife bought her Toyota early.
They got it early, exactly. All right, U.S. Senate set to vote on the Trump administration's rescission package, and that would actually cut spending.
That would be nice.
That's the thing is I like, and we're going to talk to Congressman Bob Onder about this here in a little bit. This is literally a list of here's stuff we're spending money on that we should stop spending money on. And this includes NPR, this includes PBS, and this includes billions of dollars in foreign aid. Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, she's a Republican out of Iowa, was on Fox News Live this weekend, and she says, yeah, pretty good start. Maybe we can do more.
I think we should get this done as soon as possible, and I hope that there are more of these rescissions packages to come.
Okay, so if this package is approved, we're looking at about $9 billion in cuts to spending, now, which is a drop in the bucket with a federal
drop,
but it's a first drop.
Yeah, we need something. The Republicans in power need to be on record as cutting spending on something, because that's what we sent them there to do.
Yeah.
Especially, look, I'm a huge Doge fan. Right. The cuts that they identified were all very, very in line with exactly what we were talking about. It's like you see that bull crap we were spending on shrimp on treadmills.
Right.
Get rid of that stuff. You see these guys over here spending money on credit cards that nobody should have, but they have like 1 million of them just distributed out through government bureaucrats. Get rid of those things. So yes, all of those things need to be covered in these rescission packages. We need to see multiple rescission packages over the next couple of years.
You can go to a couple sources. You can go to Citizens Against Government Waste. Every year they do the pork book.
The pork book, yeah.
And then Senator Rand Paul does his Festivus thing. And so you could take those, and those would be hundreds of billions of dollars of wasteful spending right there. Okay, over the weekend, it was the 1-year anniversary of the first assassination attempt. We're talking about the Butler, Pennsylvania attempt. President Donald Trump was asked about that at Joint Base Andrews, and he credits his survival to divine intervention.
God was protecting me. Maybe because God wanted to see our country do better or do really well, make America great again. But God was protecting me.
Okay, God's not MAGA. God's not Republican. Jesus is not wearing a red cap. I just want to point that out there. But not that I'm not thankful that the assassination attempt was a failed one. But just stop.
I don't like. Okay, I absolutely love when people say God saved my life.
Yeah,
because that's. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that as a win for God.
Yeah.
God did intervene in your, like when he saved my wife from a car crash or whatever. Yes, do that. When you claim God for your political persuasion, that's blasphemous to me. To me, that's a blast. Now, you can claim a Christian principle behind a particular policy,
right?
But you don't claim him for. I mean, look, God looks after all of the nations. He's in charge of the whole thing. He's actually a monarchist because he's the king of everything.
He doesn't love us more than the others.
He's a king of everything. Yeah. So calm all that down.
Yeah, knock that up. All right. The Cardinals go into the All-Star break on a winning note. Even though they lost the series against the Braves, they did get the win on Sunday. Final score at Busch Stadium was 5-4. Jose Fermin's 2-run home run, which, by the way, was his first home run of his Major League Baseball career, in the 6th inning, proved to be the difference in the game. All-Star game is Tuesday in Atlanta. The Redbirds are in 3rd place in the division. They resume play on Friday in Arizona.
Destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Mike Ferguson, Gabe Phifer. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit STLFenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Experience the true flavors of Mexico at Dos Primos, O'Fallon's premier Mexican restaurant. From sizzling fajitas to homemade caldo de pollo, every dish is crafted with the freshest ingredients and traditional recipes, all made fresh daily in our kitchen. Cool down with our famous margaritas or your favorite cerveza, while our friendly staff makes you feel like family. Dine in or carry out. Visit DosPrimosMexicanRestaurant.com or find us on North Main in O'Fallon.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, for those who need to hear this, and I don't know who you are, but somebody who needs to hear this, the police are not here to help you rear your kids.
Right. That's not their job.
Talking to you, St. Louis City. All right, we'll get to that in just a second here. By the way, you probably saw this over the weekend, the craziness that happens on social media. Okay, so let me be very clear here. No, Rosie O'Donnell is not going to lose her citizenship.
that's not
because Donald Trump hates her.
It's not possible.
Why does he keep doing this?
Listen, he's like poking for no good reason.
Donald Trump's a smart guy. He knows that he cannot say, as president, I revoke your citizenship. He cannot do that. I would hope that he knows that.
Yeah, he knows that.
I don't know why he puts stuff out there because, the response is, oh, that's just Trump being Trump. He's just stop saying the dumb stuff like that. I mean, first of all, you're the president of the United States. Rosie O'Donnell is a nobody. She has been a nobody for like 15 years now. Nobody cares what she says. She gets more attention when you go on social media and saying something stupid like that.
There was no need to pick this fight.
No,
there was none whatsoever.
Good God,
what did she even do lately that kind of ticked them off? Like, was it anything?
She just hates him. I mean, she moved over to, I think it was Ireland.
Yeah.
And, she's like criticizing him because she's a left-wing lunatic. And so he apparently it poked his ego enough. And he's like, well, I'm seriously considering taking away her citizenship. You can't do that. I mean,
and he knows that.
I would think he knows
he's just poking the bear, essentially.
Oh, and you're making her more relevant than she would otherwise be.
Because I didn't even know that she had said anything. But so now it's on my radar.
Rosie O'Donnell hasn't been somebody in a long, long time. But when the president of the United States decides to make you a matter of national policy, you become somebody.
Right. All of a sudden your name is trending on Twitter for no good reason.
Yeah. And she's a complete nobody.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, why does he do this?
Just let her scream into the void in Ireland and just leave her alone.
Yeah. I just understand that, like, when you're the president of the United States, you are like 150 rungs above Rosie O'Donnell. Do not look at her and make her into something relevant when she's not something relevant. Just let the little court jesters and former court jesters, because she's not even somebody who's done anything lately.
No, she's not even on a show or anything like that. So it's like it seems silly to do this stuff. I mean, it would be silly even if she's, like, let's say, still had a seat at the table at the View, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like maybe she said something dumb there. It's like, well, that's what the View does. Just let the View be the View and stop giving them views.
Right. Yeah. And the funny part is with the View, because their ratings honestly are so bad.
Yeah, they're terrible.
And honestly, I don't mean to spill the beans on broadcasting, but ratings aren't really what they used to be. As far as importance, I think.
Anywhere.
But essentially what's happened is when you look at whoever is advertising on shows like that, my guess is, just after almost 30 years in the business, is that there's a lot of pressure on guys. We can't let this show. We can't be defeated. This is not about, getting a return on the investment for your advertising. This is about, we got to keep this on because this is our point people on this.
Right.
And of course the right, we're like, yes, please keep the View on here.
Because they're content cows, as we like to say.
Oh my goodness. In more ways than one. Oh man. All right. So not that the president's going to listen to my advice, but Rosie O'Donnell is so far beneath you. Just pretend she doesn't exist.
Yeah.
She's Ireland's problem now.
Yeah,
Just
seriously.
let her be Ireland's problem.
I like when they move.
Yes. I mean, and give her credit. She actually followed through.
She actually did it.
There's a whole bunch of the Hollywood types that are like, if he gets reelected or he gets elected, I'm going to move out of the country, as though America's going to go, oh no, anything but that.
No. Although what I actually think happens when they follow through on those is they realize how much better the tax environment is versus California, and they couldn't bring themselves to move to a red state because even though it's so much better, so they're like, maybe Europe will take me.
All right, it is 6:22 right now. Are St. Louis police parenting the parents at this point?
I think that sounds what
I mean,
this
that
is.
seems like what they're moving towards, and I hate that, but I don't. This may be the least bad alternative that the police are forced into.
Right.
This isn't the police's fault. Let's put that out there. So here's what's going on, and you can see the stories on a variety of the news outlets here in town. Police now enforcing the curfew in minors. It's actually been on the books for 30 years, this curfew, but police had frankly other things to worry about. And so now they're saying, well, a lot of this problem is coming from the kids who are running wild in the streets of St. Louis, and they have been for a long time. So now they're cracking down on the curfew, kind of that broken window approach that we've seen around the country.
Right.
And mixed opinions on it, except when you look at the businesses and the people who are like, we need visitors into downtown in particular, they're like, yeah, please keep doing this. So here's one of the things that we're seeing now is that when the kids are detained or held or whatever word you want to use, it's not necessarily arrested.
Right.
But now over the 4th of July, there were a lot of young kids who were arrested because they were committing crimes like, the fireworks stuff,
criminal mischief,
and things like that. And then they found some firearms violations and things like that. So what they're doing now is when they catch the kids past the curfew, they're taking them to some place called a reunification center.
It sounds like such a lefty term, doesn't it?
It really does. But for instance, I'm looking at this article.
Just say they're in juvie.
Yeah. Well, but
they're
holding them there until the parents come get them.
Yeah.
And this article says here, Mitch McCoy, who's the spokesperson for the police department, let me just read the article, advised parents to double check and be skeptical of their children's plans. Minors found breaking the curfew will be taken to reunification centers for their parents to retrieve them. And so what we're talking about, reading between all the lines here, is that the parents understand, or the police rather understand, that the parents are not parenting.
Right.
The parents have basically laid the foundation for the problem. At some point we have said there are lines of demarcation in this country.
Right.
At a certain age, you are responsible for your own actions, regardless of what your child life was. You could have the horrible one. We can understand why, but at some point you're responsible for your own actions.
Yes.
And you've got kids 13, 14, 15 running wild in the streets of St. Louis. And then they wonder, why isn't anybody going downtown? When you watch broadcast or listen to broadcast of St. Louis Cardinals baseball games from the other team's perspectives, they don't say it locally on FanDuel, but the other teams have openly said during the broadcast, this is really weird. There's nobody here.
Yeah.
This is unlike St. Louis. We don't know what's going on with St. Louis fans.
Right.
Well, part of that is the fan base being smart enough to take it out on the team when they're mad at the ownership. But the other part is increasingly, I'm not going downtown at night anymore.
Yep.
And there are more and more people I'm hearing, just my own projection from what I'm hearing in my own conversations in St. Charles County, West County of St. Louis County. People are saying, I just don't go anymore.
Yeah. There's no need to.
Not even daytime.
Yeah. Well, why make my travel so far, essentially, to go someplace where it doesn't feel very welcoming, and even in the daytime, it doesn't feel all that safe.
Yeah.
And the stuff to do, you could do at home. Essentially,
Right.
you could do it 10, 15 minutes around the corner from your house,
Yeah.
rather than having to fight traffic all the way downtown.
Yeah, and for people that might be outraged by boys will be boys, kids will be kids. So this is just a quick summary that I found. So St. Louis specifically, 50 deaths per 100,000 people are from youth gunshots, which is 3 times higher than the national rate anywhere else. And 123 out of 1,000 serious violent crimes are committed by youths aged 12 to 17.
12 to 17.
12 to 17.
12
yes.
to 17.
So this is not a matter of, back in the day where you would sneak out, you go for a little cruise in the middle of the night. This is people that are actually going out looking for trouble in the middle of the night. And again, why does your kid have a gun? Why does your kid think it's okay to go out and break into cars and steal cars and do all this stuff? Maybe you and your mom, I'm assuming the dad's not around, or else the kids would be acting like that. But maybe you and your parents should be spending some time in the space and working it out,
So you've got the police giving parenting tips.
Yeah, essentially.
That's not what a police department is for. And 99% of the time, I don't want law enforcement and government offering parenting tips. But in this case, it's become so extreme that the police are saying common sense stuff like, when you're letting your kid run free at night, maybe don't believe them when they say they're going to Billy's house.
12-year-olds shouldn't be out past 9.
Yeah,
basically.
double check on that.
Yeah, no, I don't want the police to have to worry about teaching people how to raise their darn little rugrats, but I also don't want to get shot by a 16-year-old. And I have had a 15-year-old pull a gun on me, not here, but in Kentucky, and there needs to be something done. If the parents aren't going to do it, and clearly the teachers don't have any power or authority over these students in schools, somewhere along the line, we can't just say, well, what are we going to do? Let these kids run around and wreak havoc on the town? Like, we can't allow that.
It sounds like the sort of crisis that you get between responsibility and authority. Like at work, if you're responsible for the mess that comes out of, like, let's say some weird policy, but you don't have the responsibility, or you let's see, let me get it right. You have the responsibility to address the issue, right? It's like, hey, this policy is creating some havoc. Now I have to clean up the mess. You're responsible, but you don't have the authority to change the policy. Yeah. That's frustrating. It's almost actually impossible to work in those conditions for very long, because eventually the whole thing is going to run itself into the ground. So in this case, the cops are have the responsibility of cleaning up the mess of all of these kids running wild. So in this case, they're going to try to take at least a little bit of the authority to say, all right, we're going to have to start parenting you guys because nobody else is.
Yeah. And my guess is that pretty much every officer in the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, they're like, it's not my job to parent your kids.
Right.
I mean, a lot of them, the ones I've chatted with, they definitely enjoy, I think, the community policing and building relationships, and they like
the mentorship type of stuff is different.
They love that sort of thing, and you see the stories from the Boys and Girls Clubs and all that kind of stuff.
Or the videos of guys playing ball with the kids in the street. That's fun.
But you're talking to the parents. It's like, hey, mom, dad, whoever's there, grandma, whoever's there. When he says he's going to Billy's house, he's not going to Billy's house, right? You understand that, right?
Right.
I mean, right. And so that's not what police are supposed to do, but it's what police are having to do. And the fact that they're targeting the guardians and the parents, I think it's the right approach, especially when they're writing the citations. They don't like it probably any more than we don't like it.
And we're talking about kids in the streets, but kids in the field, that's the rest of the story we now know about. At 6:35, we have to ask our leftist friends, at what point do you recognize your defense of illegal immigration isn't just bad policy, it's immoral?
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What was once considered radical is now mainstream.
On NewsTalkSTL. News, analysis, opinion.
This is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch.
There have been some 850 rescues.
What happened? Why did it happen?
101.9 and 94.1 NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog lifts into a deck of partly cloudy skies as the morning progresses. And then this afternoon, maybe an isolated storm or two possible, mainly south of St. Louis. It's going to be a muggy day, but not overly hot, a high of 87. Partly cloudy and dry overnight tonight, down to 73 for the low. And then chances of wet weather a bit higher tomorrow with about a 50% chance of rain and storms, up to 89 degrees Tuesday afternoon. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Hey, News Talk STL listeners, this is Levi Fry, CEO of Reach Reproductive Health. There was a huge gap left when the biggest pregnancy center in St. Louis had to close their doors right after Amendment 3. But by God's grace and power, Reach has been able to step into that space. We have acquired Thrive centers and are continuing operations in greater St. Louis. I have a request for you. Would you pray and consider getting to know Reach more? We are here to see babies saved and families transformed by the power of Christ. Get to know us on our Reach community website, outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Jamie Allman here with the Allman Report. Pleased to be with Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. That's what it's all about. Jordan, tell me about purchasing a home, brother.
Purchasing a home right now, it's a tough market. You're going to see a lot of competition. On the bagel loan that we have, you're going to have no closing costs, no title fees, no appraisal fees, no lender fees. Saves an average client almost $4,000 on a transaction. Customer service, unbelievable. Text, call anytime.
As I know, as a real estate agent, Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, folks.
NMLS number 226715.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, I admit there's going to be there's a certain amount of rage bait in this next topic right here, but there's also a bigger question that I would love to engage with our leftist friends on this here.
Yes.
I mean, that cannabis farm story that we talked about on Friday.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
and we were just talking about how cool it was with the helicopter landing and everything like
yeah.
that. And they'd cut off the roads. We had a sky view of the entire proceedings. It was awesome.
The jokes wrote
And
themselves.
the jokes
I
wrote
mean,
themselves.
every stereotype you can imagine. But it turns out there was a much darker side to that whole situation that we
Mhm.
now know about.
Yeah.
Smuggled kids were among the illegal aliens found working in those pot fields when ICE raided them. Turns out there were two.
Right.
There were two raids that happened. So let's get to that in just a couple seconds here. By the way, I showed you guys the video of this yesterday. This is so funny. So my baseball team was out at Moody Park off of Longacre in Fairview Heights, and we played our game, and unfortunately we lost, but we'd made the plans. We're going to have a cookout after the game.
Mhm.
And so, we're like, okay, that looks like there might be a little bit of rain towards the end of the game, but we'll be fine. And so,
We'll figure it out.
We brought the portable grill and we all brought food that we shouldn't be eating and all that kind of stuff. And we got caught in the rain. We're starting up the grill and then it just poured. I mean, poured for like half an hour. So we waited it out. We still had our cookout. But then when it started pouring, all of a sudden we look around and there's a family of skunks.
A whole family.
6 of them. We could see the 2 big adult ones and then 4 baby skunks that were like within feet of us.
4 little stinkers.
And I sent you, I just showed Jerome the video this morning. I sent that to you yesterday.
Yeah. It's like, hey, it's like these poor little guys are caught in the rain.
That's right.
Poor little guys. Maybe I should take them home.
And one of them, we're underneath this shelter house and there's these bushes or whatever right next to it. One of the babies took shelter. I mean, literally like 3 feet from us in the bushes. And we're like,
oh no,
nobody move.
No sudden movements.
Oh
please.
no. But, I go and in a break between the rain, I go use the bathroom and I walk back and there's a little guy like kind of walking towards me. I'm like, whoa, no, Pepe, you go that way on that. And everybody behaved. Nobody got sprayed. But it was funny because, these are cute little critters.
Oh yeah,
they really are.
I mean,
I felt
furry
bad
guys.
for them, man. They were getting drenched because that was a heck of a downpour.
And really, the only reason a family would be moving in the daytime is maybe because their den got rained out.
Which is what happened. Which underneath the sidewalk there was a pipe underneath there that apparently that's where they built their den. But it was so flooded out they literally got flushed out of there.
Right.
And so they're walking all around and we're like, this could go bad at any moment now.
Man. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was funny because I'm looking around and these little guys are like, "Sup?" Huh?
Yeah.
You got chips? I see that.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to encounter a scared skunk, a scared adult skunk.
Yeah.
It's another to encounter a scared adult skunk that's protecting its babies.
Exactly.
So it's like, oh,
so we were like making it very clear we weren't approaching them.
Yeah.
Only one of my teammates, Dave, his wife Amy, she came out of the bathroom and there was one of the babies who kind of cocked up the tail.
Oh boy.
And we're like, back away. And we didn't have to tell her twice. And so she was okay.
It's instincts. I don't think their glands grow in until much later, but still, that's
we're not
not
taking the
because if baby's doing it, it's only a matter of seconds before mama says, "Oh,
at least the baby didn't turn around."
Right. Yeah.
And so, Amy didn't have the butt view, which would have been really bad. We
Yeah,
would
by
have been
then-
like, run.
By then it's too late.
Oh, yeah. Oh man. All right, so let's go back to this situation on Friday. This ended up getting a lot darker of a story than we thought it was going to get, because we were making all the jokes, the Cheech and Chong jokes.
Oh, yeah.
The people from south of the border in the country illegally working the cannabis farms. Why? Because Americans won't do it. All that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, it turns out that among those raids, and whatever the intel was and the tips that law enforcement had turned out to be accurate, because there were at least 10 children.
Yeah.
Most of those being reported on, as I'm using quotes here because this is what was in the report, unaccompanied illegal alien children. Now that's a real nice way of saying trafficked children working pot farms in California.
Yeah.
And so this took a much darker turn. And Gavin Newsom tried to actually make this a sympathetic thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because he took one of the pictures of somebody holding this child's hand in the farm field, running away from like the tear gas and whatnot, and basically trying to say, oh, yeah, Donald Trump's America, where children are running. We're like,
oh, come on.
The Department of Homeland Security retweeted that and said, Gavin, why are children working in pot farms in your state?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a flex to use that image to try and promote the idea that his sanctuary policies are somehow protecting children from big bad ICE.
Yeah, so we've got 5 minutes or so here in the rest of this discussion before we get back to the news dump here in the information segment. Here's the thing that I'm asking with my leftist friends. I'm trying to ask a serious question now.
Yeah.
Your side's become violent, and coordinatedly so.
Yes.
As far as ambushes on ICE officers in Miami, it looks like there was at least one gunshot fired at law enforcement in California.
There are those 12 people who got hemmed up for
right,
a coordinated attack. That's what you meant.
That's the Miami
one.
Yeah. And so, we see the big fat leftist who's trying to shove a Mexican flag pole into the tires of the thing. So your side has become violent in defense of the exploitation of these people.
Yes.
One of the reasons that the right wants illegal immigration stopped is to end this exploitation. You don't want to acknowledge that. 314-912-1019. Not that I think any leftists are going to call and engage on this, but the offer is out there. Okay. Or send me a note on social media. We can respond to it that way. But what we have right now is your side, the left side, has become violent in defense of the criminality that has put children who have been trafficked into this country, apparently, at work doing field labor on marijuana farms. That's what your side's policies and your side's defense of this has gotten us.
I saw one lefty commentator even trying to make some sort of moral equivalence between kids working on a family farm
Yeah, which I did as a kid.
And the child labor exploitation that's going on here, clearly going on here. There is no comparison between kids having chores on a farm and kids being trafficked to become slave labor on somebody's farm.
Yeah, my first jobs that I would work for to get an actual check, or actual cash, basically. One was I worked, believe it or not, on a Christmas tree farm during seasonal stuff, and I would mow and help trim trees, and then I would work on farms in West Central Illinois. I would go what we called walking beans. I would do baling hay. I'd do baling straw. I mean, it was hard work,
right? In
the middle of the summer and late summer. So I've done hard farm work as a kid. That was all above board.
Yeah.
Volunteer because I wanted the money. And I was willing to work hard, and it was in a controlled environment where, parents were on board, the farmers were on board, so we did a lot of hard work. It is hard labor. We're talking, in this case, looks like some of these kids were as young as 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And they were trafficked into this country and put to work on cannabis farms.
Yeah. When they say unaccompanied, that means they don't have people who love them to protect them.
Right.
That's what that means. That means they are separated from their families. Remember the whole, oh my gosh, how could you separate these people from their families? These kids were separated from their families somehow. I guess in some cases they were sent, Sam's family, deliberately, but they were trafficked. That we're talking about slave labor.
Yes.
We're talking about child slave labor.
Yes.
And you want to defend this?
That's my question to those on the left. This is your cause. This is the logical, predictable result of what you have wanted. This is the logical, predictable result of the Biden open border years. This is what we knew was going to happen. What did you think was going to happen?
This is what really grinds my gears, is that the defense of this is, well, look at Trump's America. This is going on in Trump's America. Well, if you have that much of a problem with it, why are you protecting this? Why are you sitting there fighting with the people that are trying to give justice to these people and help reconnect them with their families and get them off of literally, it says they're under investigation for child labor violations. So if you're so outraged because this is what Trump's America looks like, one, it's Biden's freaking fault.
Right.
But two, why are you impeding the efforts to actually end this?
Yeah. So all of those idiot protesters with the Mexican flags and some of them with the keffiyehs and all that kind of stuff, you're literally standing in front of law enforcement and military vehicles who are trying to rescue trafficked children.
Yeah.
Now, most of those who were detained and caught are adults, but there were like a couple hundred arrests of illegal aliens. But you're literally, as part of this, you're trying to stop those who are rescuing trafficked children who had been put to work in the middle of the day on pot farms.
It's disgusting. I don't understand. And let's not mention the one adult illegal alien who was found to have been convicted of child sexual abuse. Happened to be working on the same farm as 10 unaccompanied minors.
This is where your side is. Listen, our side has faults. And frankly, of all of the shows in St. Louis, this may be the one that criticizes the right more than any. I think on any station on this. So, I understand we've got faults here and we address those. This is one of the leading principles of the left right now is defending the entire situation that led to this in California. But Alligator Alcatraz is an internment camp. Yeah, one of the Democratic lawmakers actually said that.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Patriot Heating and Cooling. When your home's comfort is on the line, you need a team you can trust. That's why I recommend Patriot Heating and Cooling, St. Louis's trusted team of HVAC experts. These pros make customer service their number one priority, whether it's a summer breakdown or a winter emergency. Booking your service couldn't be easier. Just visit callpatriothvacstl.com or call 314-527-2722. Patriot Heating and Cooling. Comfort every day. the Patriot Way.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Think you know your facts? Put your knowledge to the test at the St. Louis Young Republicans Trivia Night. Join us Friday, July 25th at the St. Louis County GOP headquarters in Fenton for an evening of fun facts and fantastic company. Meet fellow conservatives while competing for great prizes. Doors at 5:45, trivia at 6:30. Reserve your table and get tickets now at stlyrs.com. BethSTLYRS.com. Presented by NewsTalkSTL.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, you may not have heard about this, but there was another court order against ICE that happened over the weekend. Yeah, so we'll tell you about that. Also, could Congress finally approve that first round of actual spending cuts? We'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath. And there's actually a little bit of good news when it comes to stuff affecting your wallet. It is 6:48. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Okay, a group of Democratic lawmakers took a tour of the new Florida Migrant Detention Center known as Alligator Alcatraz.
Love that place.
By the way, if you want to hear the greatest song about Alligator Alcatraz ever, go to our podcast and
Gators Guard the Gate.
Look up Gators Guard the Gate, an exclusive Alligator Alcatraz tribute song by Mike Ferguson in the morning. So after the tour, Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz had her thoughts on what she believes is a brutal environment for the illegal aliens.
The conditions that we saw inside this internment camp, which it is nothing less than that description, were really appalling.
Internment camp, she's trying literally to liken this to the rounding up of actual legal American citizens of Japanese descent back in World War II, which was a horrible stain on our history because these were American citizens and legal immigrants. And then internment camp, I think she was also trying to reflect this back to the Holocaust.
Yeah, sure enough.
Now, if you want something, because I've seen the tour of Alligator, it actually looks nicer than some of the hotels I've stayed at. But if you want to really look up what they were calling the holding areas under the Biden administration, when they just had a bunch of people cramped up on a floor for that, why would these people not speaking up then?
It's so
on
silly.
Fox's The Big Weekend Show, Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs Tricia McLaughlin had this response.
Gasoline prices have dropped.
Well, that is the wrong one. I'll get to that here in just a minute. Here's Tricia McLaughlin.
These are air-conditioned facilities. People have 3 meals a day. They get better health care than they probably have had in their entire lives. As immediately upon entrance, they get a medical evaluation and then medical care as those doctors and nurses see fit.
Yeah, you think of some of the crap hole conditions of the country they're trying to get out of or trying to avoid going back to. Yeah, this is probably a step up from some of them. And then the other ones is maybe it does suck. Well, then you should have done it the right way to come to this country.
Well, and the other thing about Alligator Alcatraz is it's a holding facility before they leave, right? It's like this isn't, it's not like they're permanent accommodations for the rest of their lives. It's not as though they're going to stay there for a matter of months. It's just like, okay, here's your stopover.
Yeah.
as you leave the country. Hey, we're helping out. You say these conditions are appalling. Well, we're going to send them home soon.
Yeah, these aren't the new characters in the next season of Swamp People.
Right, exactly.
Just saying. All right, you may or may not have heard of this over the weekend. A federal judge in Los Angeles issues a temporary restraining order against ICE. This happened on Friday, saying the agency likely violated constitutional rights through its immigration enforcement tactics. Congressman Andy Biggs, Republican out of Arizona, was on the Fox Report over the weekend, giving his thoughts on that ruling.
The judges here in California and the district courts that are stopping these raids, they are not protecting the citizens of this country, nor are they following the law, in my opinion.
And so once again, we have another case of a district judge issuing orders over national policy.
Yeah.
Which we just talked to Mike O'Neill about, and legal experts, constitutional legal experts, are just kind of confounded. Like, wait a minute, the Supreme Court literally just ruled on this about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Made the instructions very clear, and it has not stopped those Biden and Obama and even some Bush and Carter appointees from issuing these rulings in spite of what the Supreme Court has said they can and cannot do.
ICE and the Trump administration should defy these orders. They should open, not only should they defy them, they should openly say that they're going to, like, we're not going to abide by these.
So going full Jacksonian
on it. I mean, and I know what that means, and I don't say it lightly, but there's got to come a point where there's a demarcation between the powers that are being executed right there. A district judge has been told by their bosses not to do this. You have no power in the federal realm. So it has to be made clear that we're not even going to pay attention to these stupid injunctions. So don't even bother.
Yeah. All right. President Trump reigniting the trade war by notifying nations about the new tariffs they're getting hit with.
Over the course of the last week, the president sent letters to his foreign counterparts informing them about their new trade taxes. He began by announcing a 25% tax on imported goods from Japan and South Korea, two key allies. Later in the week, the president told Canada that its exports to the U.S. will be hit with 35% tariffs. The White House says the tariffs are set to take effect August 1st. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, now remember, those will get passed down to us. Now, will it happen day one? No, but eventually what happens is those get absorbed into the cost of whatever the product is. And sometimes that's not just the widget made in Japan or Korea or wherever. A lot of times it's the materials used to build stuff in the U.S., and it makes it more expensive to build stuff. Eventually, we pay this.
I know a big bag of chips is now $6.
$6?
It's
really?
$6, $5.99 at your local Deerberg.
$6?
$6 for one of the big bags of chips that you'd bring to a party. You know, one of those.
Yeah,
bring to a party.
Wow.
Yeah, $6.
$6. Another reason to buy your food at Nutrition Stop.
Exactly.
And eat stuff that's healthier for you.
Yep,
Just saying. All right. The Senate is set to vote on the Trump administration's rescission package, at least the first one, which would claw back funding from public broadcasters, NPR, PBS, and also claw back billions of dollars in foreign aid. Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, Republican out of Iowa, was on Fox News Live saying, yeah, that's a decent start.
I think we should get this done as soon as possible, and I hope that there are more of these rescissions packages to come.
Okay, so this particular rescissions package adds up to about $9 billion. Pretty good amount of money compared to my personal budget, compared to the federal budget, just a drop in the bucket. But again, this is a good start. We're going to talk to Congressman Bob Onder about this at 7:35. All right. A little bit of good news that is happening that's affecting your wallet here. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but gas prices are actually down.
Oh, yeah, by a lot.
Yeah. Gas prices fell considerable amount the last couple of weeks alone. Oil industry analyst Trilby Lundberg, who publishes the Lundberg survey, kind of goes into some details.
Gasoline prices have dropped 9 cents per gallon in the past couple of weeks, and the price for regular grade now averages $3.22. And it's a big discount from a year ago, 39 cents lower now.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, how far would you go for a 39-cent discount? Like, think about it in that, you know what I mean? If there was one gas station, at this price and then one at 39 cents lower, you're traveling a distance to get to that other one, right? But now they're just everywhere.
Yeah, it's I think it was 288, I think is what I saw when I filled up the other day. So that's pretty good. All right, over the weekend we had the 1-year anniversary of the first assassination attempt against Donald Trump. That was at that campaign rally in Butler.
Still boggles the mind that we can say like the first assassination
attempt. Yeah. And so President Trump was asked about that by reporters at Joint Base Andrews, and he credits his survival to divine intervention.
God was protecting me. Maybe because God wanted to see our country do better or do really well, make America great again. But God was protecting me.
All he had to do was stop at the first part.
Yeah, the first part
we
was
would have
solid.
went, no, appreciate maybe he's coming around.
God was protecting me. I appreciate it.
And
go.
like Jesus is wearing a red MAGA cap.
Yeah, no.
God, dang, stop, don't do that. All right, the Cardinals go into the All-Star break on a winning note. So the Cardinals did lose the series against the Braves, but they did get the win on Sunday, avoiding the sweep. Final score at Busch Stadium was 5-4. Jose Fermin's 2-run home run, which, by the way, was his first home run of his MLB career. That was a 6th inning blast, and that proved to be the difference in the game. So not only was it first home run, it was the first winning home run that he's hit in his career. So the All-Star game is set for Tuesday in Atlanta. Redbirds are in 3rd place in the division, and they resume play on Friday in Arizona. This All-Star game in Arizona, this is the makeup All-Star game. Remember, MLB took it away from Atlanta because they put voter ID into law.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
So they said, you're discriminating against black people. We're taking the All-Star game from Atlanta, and they gave it to Denver.
That's amazing. I missed that story.
Wow.
Looking for excitement, fun, and delicious food for the whole family? Piccadilly Parwan has it all. Savor our scratch-made dishes. Nothing frozen. Every bite a true delight. Roll into fun at Piccadilly Palace for roller skating, or race your heart out at Piccadilly Kart Racing. Join us for happy hour Monday through Friday, 4 till 6. Free select appetizers and drink specials. And don't miss our mouth-watering Sunday family dinners. Piccadilly Parwan on Audrey Lane in Union, Missouri, or online at PiccadillyPar1.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. President Trump is boosting military aid to Ukraine as Russia carries out repeated strikes against civilian areas. He says the sophisticated equipment will include U.S.-made Patriot missile defense systems.
We will send them Patriots, which they desperately need, because Putin really surprised a lot of people. He talks nice and then he bombs everybody in the evening. So there's a little bit of a problem there, and I don't like it.
Presidential envoy, retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, is in Ukraine today for talks, while NATO's Secretary General visits Washington to discuss the war. New EU tariffs on U.S. goods were set to take effect today, but they've been suspended until August 1st. The move comes after President Trump announced 30% tariffs on the EU. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen.
We have always been very clear that we prefer a negotiated solution. This remains the case, and we will use the time that we have now till the 1st of August. And on the second track, since the very beginning, we have worked and now are ready to respond with countermeasures.
The president also announced 30% tariffs on Mexican imports. Stock futures are lower following the weekend announcement. Multiple people have died in a fire at an assisted living facility in Fall River, Massachusetts. Firefighters were able to rescue many occupants late last night, but several were declared dead at the scene. The fire chief described it as an unfathomable tragedy for the families involved. The north rim of the Grand Canyon will be closed for the remainder of the season after a wildfire destroyed an historic lodge and up to 80 other buildings. Firefighters are dealing with several blazes in the western U.S. More at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Hi, my name's Neil. I have some advice for you if you've been trying to break free from credit card debt. You can start by doing what I did. Get your bills together and call Trinity Debt Management. Trinity is dedicated to helping people like me become debt-free. When I called, my first experience was a feeling of relief. My counselor was kind, and best of all, she didn't judge me. In just a few minutes, she helped me figure out a plan that consolidated all my bills into one lower monthly payment. This substantially reduced my high interest rates and put me on the road to success. In the end, I saved thousands in interest, and today my credit card debt is a thing of the past.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Neil. Take it from someone who's been there. Call Trinity and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
No parole for a serial killer.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog lifts into a deck of partly cloudy skies as the morning progresses. And then this afternoon, maybe an isolated storm or two possible, mainly south of St. Louis. It's going to be a muggy day, but not overly hot, a high of 87. Partly cloudy and dry overnight tonight, down to 73 for the low. And then chances of wet weather a bit higher tomorrow with about a 50% chance of rain and storms, up to 89 degrees Tuesday afternoon. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This will be the biggest ant ranger of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hey, folks, the Clayton Sleep Institute and my friend Dr. Ojal back supporting free common sense conservative radio. ClaytonSleep.com. Treating the full range of adult and pediatric sleep disorders from sleep apnea to insomnia, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement, and narcolepsy. What an awesome place. New comfy setting for the sleep lab. ClaytonSleep.com, 314-645-5855. Better sleep, better life.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Gabe Phifer.
Extra sugar honey iced tea, baby.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, I hate asking this question, but I also hate the fact that part of me says, well, they kind of have to. The question is this: are St. Louis police parenting the parents in the city? And every fiber of the small L libertarian in me hates that.
Yes.
But every fiber of the realist in me says, well, yeah, look what's happening. 7:06 right now, by the way. I mean, so here's what's happening. Yeah. And by the way, I've reached out to the St. Louis Police Department. Hopefully by Friday, what I want to do is I want to kind of get an update going into next weekend, because what's happening is the police are essentially making a big deal and telling everybody and this is really smart on their part,
Mhm.
we're enforcing these curfews of minors.
Right.
Which, by the way, have been on the books since the 90s, and just nobody's paid much attention to them. And so now they're doing that, and they obviously, a lot of this came from all the chaos of July 4th, and some of
Mhm.
that came from the weekend before at the Pride stuff in Tower Grove,
Right.
in the Tower Grove area, especially along Manchester and Choteau there.
And really the context of the history of the block takeovers that we've seen
Right.
In the past as well.
Yeah, because remember when we used to work downtown,
Mhm.
there were all of those issues with the street racing and, like you said,
Mhm.
the block takeovers, and then the flash mobs.
Yeah,
that
at intersections.
And at one point, they were jumping up on top of police cars with police officers in it
Oh,
because
yeah.
there was nothing the cop could do.
Yeah.
They were overwhelmed by numbers.
Mhm.
Everybody knew that there were 2, 3, 4 cops working in a particular precinct at a given time. And by the time they radioed for help, they had run off and the party went somewhere else.
Mhm.
And so what's happening now is that the police are basically, you find a minor, they're out after curfew, they're taking that kid in. They're holding them at what's being called a reunification center,
Mhm.
and then having a little chat with mom and dad. And so what's happening now, according to the articles that I've read and the quotes from Mitch McCoy, who's the spokesperson for the police, and basically saying, listen, we're telling parents, double check your kids' plans. Be skeptical when your teenager says, I'm going to Billy's house or
Right.
Susie's house or
Mhm.
whatever. And this is all basic parenting that our parents knew.
Yeah.
I didn't even, you believe it or not, I never snuck out of my house
Mhm.
when I was a teenager.
Same.
Not one time.
Same.
Not one time. First and foremost, I knew I was going to get caught if I tried. But secondly, I just knew better, because, there the consequences of trying something stupid like that.
Mhm. It
far
outweighed any sort
Right.
of benefit. My goodness.
Yeah.
And this was prior to, all children basically having a digital leash
Yes.
in their cell phones. Because basically you'd have to pick up the landline, which was attached to the wall
Right.
near the kitchen.
And this really happened, Jerome. It was attached. I mean, you could only walk like 6 or 8 feet from the phone.
Unless you got those giant
Right.
cords but
those got all tangled.
They got
up,
that
and
tangled
it
and
was a
everything,
mess,
and it
yeah.
knocked stuff off the counters and stuff. But so you'd pick up that phone, you'd call Billy and say,
Right.
"Hey Billy, I want to come over, or I want to have a sleepover." Let's say,
Yeah.
because there's no way I'm getting out of the house past 9 to anywhere else besides my home,
Right.
unless I am sleeping over there.
Yeah.
So it was like, ask your parents
Yep.
if I can sleep over this weekend, because we didn't do that on school nights either. Now, and then Billy was like, hold on. And he put the phone down because you'd have to leave it because it was attached to the wall. And he'd go and ask his parents, and they'd say, what does Gabe's parents say? What do Gabe's parents say about it?
Flashbacks.
Right?
Yep.
And then occasionally the parents would have a brief conference on the phone call that you made.
Right.
Right?
That's so true.
Right? It's like, okay, let me talk to him. Let me talk to Billy's parents.
So in St. Louis right now, and I hate the idea that you've got police saying, we're going to talk to the parents and explain to them what they need to be doing.
Yeah, they're doing the job that your parents should do.
They're doing the job that they are parenting the parents.
Yes.
At this point.
And it's terrible when you put it that way, but what choice do they have at this point? And that's the thing that's kind of brushing up against the the libertarian streak that says a government agent should have nothing to say about my parenting. That's a true statement.
Yep.
Any government agent should have zero to say, unless, of course, it's impacting them doing their job, which is public safety.
The other people around the city.
And other people around the city. That's where government has a role in making sure that when humans interact with one another and express their various freedoms, that we're not imposing ourselves upon one another. And the thing is that bad parenting is leading to kids running around at 11 o'clock at night, shooting people. I mean, Jerome, you were just giving us the statistics on that, and vandalizing vehicles and making a general ruckus of the place.
So with where the police are on this, I wonder what those conversations look like. The parents come in. I'm not going to pretend to know, or the stereotypes are going to, because there are so many people. It's like, I just can't control what these kids are doing. Okay, well, the police officer is right there. At some point, they see the same kids 2, 3, 4 times. Shove them in the system.
Yes, absolutely.
Shove them in the system.
You go to juvie.
Yeah,
absolutely. That that was actually an option back in the day, right? It was if I can't control you, I'm turning you over to the state and let them try to do it. I mean, that's what certain
which should
parents
be
would
the
do.
absolute last resort.
That's a last resort.
The government
obviously.
cannot parent you.
Right. Exactly.
It cannot. It can
Right.
punish you, but it cannot parent you, which is, I think, why I've got such mixed feelings on this. But to your point, Gabe, and I think you're right, is that what choice do the police have at this point? I mean, they could just arrest the kids and send them right to juvie and start pressing charges, or they can have chats with the parents and go, listen,
give them a chance.
You're effing up here. If you don't start controlling your kids, we're going to start controlling your kids. So I'm glad they're taking that approach.
Well, and the old saying is, it takes a community, it takes a village to raise a child, but
which I hate.
Yeah, but we also still see that mentality in a lot of other places that don't have these issues. So it also becomes a matter of, not just are we going to outsource it if the police or if the parents are going to do it, then it's the police's problem, or should we as a community be able to say more? And how many times have you been somewhere and you see somebody's kid acting up and they're just neglecting it? And you want to say like, hey, knock that off. And then they're like, don't tell me how to raise my, well, I wouldn't be telling you how to raise your kid if you were raising your kid right,
Now, to what Mike was saying there, like I have the same sort of visceral reaction to the take the village thing. But the thing is, we grew up in an era where it actually there was a village taking care of the kids. It was basically,
but they were reinforcing the parents.
They were reinforcing. And that's the thing. That's really the difference is that that phrase got co-opted essentially by
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton.
That was the name of her book. It takes a village.
And the collective leftists who want to say, okay, the child belongs to the community, and of course the community representatives are agents of the government in schools and things like that. So they turned it into that. But in our era, it was very much more like, well, the street light's on, and Gabe isn't back home yet, so Mrs. Johnson sees me out in the street because she's out on her porch and she's like, Gabe, you better get home before I call your mama. I'm going home.
But I'm sure that never happened, right?
I'm sure it never happened. It's like there was literally a Mrs. Johnson.
Did that ever happen?
Oh my gosh. So that's the thing.
He's not answering the question. Gabe, did that happen?
It might have happened.
It's okay to plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth. Exactly. But the thing is, that sort of village raising of children, it did actually go exactly where Jerome, you were saying, is like when individuals recognized that kids were misbehaving in public, they were reinforcing not only the parents' ideals, but the parents' ideals kind of aligned with a kind of overarching social standing of social norms, right? Hey, this kid is climbing up on this counter at the local store. It's like, hey kid, get down from there. And if the parent runs over, it's like, oh my gosh, this is how they respond. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Don't you know better than to get up on that?
Right.
So that was okay. Social pressure that says, hey, you're not supposed to do that. Parental pressure that says, oh my gosh, what are you thinking? You're embarrassing me by doing this in public. As opposed to what we have now is some random, your kids knocking things off the shelves. It's like, oh, well, just let them express themselves. Gentle. They don't really know what they're doing. It's like, hey, kid, stop throwing things off of the shelf. Who are you to tell my kid what to do?
Yeah.
That kind of garbage is what's leading to this broken society.
Do we have time to take a quick call?
If we can do it in about 60 seconds. Yeah, who we got?
All right, we got Steve.
Hey, Steve, you're on NewsTalkSTL.
Hey, guys. I just got a slightly little twist on this. I agree with you. It's we shouldn't have to have police doing this. But, my own views, there's a difference between the ideal and reality, as we all know. My own views, I verge on anarcho-libertarianism. A hardcore. The ideal government for me is no government. But as a Christian, I understand mankind has fallen, and that's just not a real vision for a functioning society. But the one thing I'm kind of looking at the police doing this, it kind of brings me back to, in the old days, the police were known as, they were called peace officers. They weren't called law enforcement officers. Their job was to keep the peace. They walked the beat. They knew people. If they saw little Tommy getting in trouble, they tried to straighten Tommy out before it got too far. So I'm kind of a little bit sympathetic to them doing this, and it's maybe not that bad of an idea if they can break through to these parents, just to step in and, hey, let's head this off at the path. Not that it's again, ideal. It's certainly not. The parents should be responsible for their own children. But, looking at it a little different way in terms of keeping the peace versus just enforcing laws, I think it maybe has a little bit of a positive spin if you look at it that way.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping, Steve.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, you can say that. Again, ideal versus reality.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Now, thanks for calling. Now, at 7:20, the president makes it clear who he's supporting in the alleged Bondi versus Dan and Cash drama, which is very interesting. I'm raring to hear about what's going on there.
Yeah.
Try to make me stop. Inspiration.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The latest on Bongino, Patel, Bondi, and the Epstein papers. A full report today.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Parents want more choices rather than fewer when it comes to their children's education. And now some Missouri parents will have one more option to get their children the best education available. Low-income students and those with disabilities in Missouri's largest communities can now apply for an Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA. With an ESA, the money the state would normally pay to your child's public school goes into an account that you control. You can use the funds for private school tuition, online learning programs, a private tutor, or other approved uses. You can tailor your child's education. For too long, Missouri officials have operated on the mistaken notion that parents only need one choice. They're assigned public school based on their address. ESAs put parents in charge. It's school choice at its best, with money following the students to the place that best fits their needs. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Attention off-road enthusiasts, Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet. Plus, brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit ironbearcustoms.com and mention News Talk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention News Talk STL for 10% off.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobbers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
The drama. Bondi, Cash, Bongino, the Donald.
Now, this is kind of like almost a side story to the Epstein thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, and it's related. It's related, but it also it goes to, I think, the heart of the integrity debate on all of this. It's like a high stakes soap opera is what this is.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be funny if it were not so serious.
Yeah.
So over the weekend, President Trump, who apparently had more time on his hands than he really should,
he seems to,
went on a couple of long, tirades on his Truth Social, and he makes it clear he's with Pam Bondi, and he says he now says he has met with Dan Bongino because the rumors that were coming out were that it was Patel and Bongino, basically Bongino, versus Pam Bondi,
right,
over the Epstein files and client list. And the Trump administration is just taking thump after thump after thump because they have completely changed course, changed their story. The fact of the matter is that it's obvious the Trump administration is not telling the truth.
Yes,
when
clearly,
it comes to the Epstein files on this. And the rumors are published all over the place, which, by the way, if they're rumors, why is all this media running with it? But saying that Bongino and Pam Bondi had a knockdown, drag out, heated argument over the Epstein stuff. And that Bongino was thinking about resigning. And those that was there. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if Dan's thinking about that or not. But the president makes it clear he sides with Pam Bondi. He has met with Dan Bongino. He reiterates that he wants everybody to move on and ignore those failed promises related to the Epstein stuff. Which, by the way, keep in mind, this isn't necessarily about Epstein. I mean, yeah, it is. That's the fulcrum of all of this. But this is about the rich, the powerful, who were his customers and his beneficiaries. For instance, Matt Walsh, and I screenshotted this just this morning. Matt Walsh, he went on to say, among other things, let me just read what he put on Twitter. Up until 10 seconds ago, there was unanimous agreement that Epstein was a pedophile and child sex trafficker with high-profile clientele who all must be exposed and brought to justice. Now, out of the blue, we're being told that none of that is true, and anyone who believes this thing that everyone believed is a whack job at a conspiracy theorist. This is the kind of shameless 180-degree unexplained pivot that leftists typically specialize in. Very weird to see it happening on the right.
Yes.
And I think he's right about, and I know we don't want to hear this, but he's not wrong.
That I think that typifies the reaction by most of us, really. I mean, as far as I've seen, I haven't seen many people who are like, well, most people I've seen, even some diehard MAGA folks, are just like, look, this is a big deal. I do not like this. What is, and their response is more like, what is happening, as opposed to it's like, well, let's give them some time to figure.
Yeah, the reaction has not been, for instance, 101 on Rumble chat box. He says, Mike, I've made 2 comments on True Social regarding the Epstein debacle. Both, in his words, got disappeared.
Really?
On Truth, yeah. I'm not on Truth Social, so I don't know how all that works. Walsh posted multiple things. Another one that he wrote, and you can agree or disagree, I think Matt Walsh is an excellent source of debate. He says, we want justice.
Yes.
That's what the people telling us to move on from the Epstein case don't understand. We have a deep desire for justice down in our bones and our souls. We see how the corrupt and the powerful are never held accountable. We see violent criminals running rampant in our streets. We want these evildoers to be punished. We want the innocent to be vindicated and defended. We want justice. It's one of the most basic and most honorable of all human desires. So no, we can't just drop it. Give us justice.
Yes.
And so that's where I think, obviously, a lot of this is. And so when you get into Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and President Trump, you've got now a soap opera, because all of these people are, to some degree, heroes of the MAGA movement, with Donald Trump obviously being the leader and face. And frankly, the whole thing is built around him. It's the MAGA movement is about Donald Trump.
Yes.
And so you get to be a leader in it by being loyal to Donald Trump. And now we're getting all these reports that possibly there's dissension, particularly with Dan Bongino, who is arguing with Pam Bondi. I mean, the logical conclusion is that Bongino would be saying, release it.
Yes.
Get it out there.
Well, this was, I have the clip saved somewhere, but a couple of years ago, Dan Bongino was one of the people that said that I've gotten, reports from people that this could be some sort of like a blackmail operation from other governments. And for me, that is a huge national security risk. If, let's say, China or Russia or one of our adversaries has this list for some reason, and they're sitting there saying, well, these people right here, because we know that certain banks were doing business with them, that there were other like real estate moguls, Epstein, that what's to say, well, you're going to do something adversary or to benefit us against the United States, or else we're going to release this. That is not ignoring the fact that these people could still reoffend because we don't know who the heck they are. I think this is a national security issue, and we need to take it more seriously.
And that and I don't know if the Trump administration would try to make that if they were to be honest about it. Like, national security, we can't tell you.
We would all be okay with that.
Well,
I mean, I'll say this way.
I don't know if I would, but I think it would be a legitimate debate.
We would take it better.
We would take it better.
We would take it better if they said, okay, we have the list. We know the people, but there are national security concerns that are preventing us from making it public.
Right.
If they cast it that way, I was like, I don't like that.
We would have a really robust debate.
We would have a robust debate, robust discussion about it, but it wouldn't be about them reneging on their responsibility. It would be about how do you weigh, how do you weigh dealing with bad guys in order to accomplish greater things, which is what law enforcement and the military and intelligence agencies do all the time, versus how do you get justice for the the downtrodden.
Now, remember, the Trump administration made the big deal out of calling in the social media influencers and handing him a binder that said Epstein files
part one.
Yeah. And so they made the promises, and this was one of the things that they were getting very excited. We're going to get this, and then they turn around and say, "Oh, there's actually nothing there." Well, what does part one mean? I mean, so the arguments, coming from the Trump administration just make no sense, and clearly the Trump administration is now part of the cover-up.
And I'm again, the idea of there being an organized Excel sheet with all of the there's a blacklist.
There's no punch card or loyalty program. Rewards, get the 10th one free or whatever.
But it is absolutely irrefutable based on the court documents, because I've been re-upping and researching the stuff again just to make sure I didn't misinterpret something. Even if there is not a dedicated client list, there are still people that were pimping out these young and helping them in acquiring. And those people, at the very least,
the accomplices,
those people need to be brought to justice, because if they were doing that for that long and now they're being covered up, how do we know they've ever stopped doing that? What if, all these missing children from the illegal, how do we know that these children of the illegals are not in the hands of these predators right now? It can't just be ignored.
Somebody could have taken over the Epstein operation and could be the new Epstein working underground as we speak, because the entirety of the organization wasn't brought down. They took on two figureheads and they said, okay, now there's nothing to see here. I don't think that that's true.
No, I don't think anybody who can come to any sort of logical conclusion or thought process actually believes that's true.
Right.
I mean, that it's, we got the two, nothing to see here, move on. We know we're not being told the truth.
Now, I did see from somewhat credible news sources that Ghislaine actually said that she's willing to testify about their clients to Congress. So I just want to say right now, Ghislaine Maxwell did not kill herself. I just want to put that.
To put it out there.
And maybe that's the only way that she's going to have any sort of recollection or justice being brought, is by saying, here's who we were working with and here's what we did. I mean,
and a way for her to save her own butt.
Yeah, maybe.
But
maybe get offer her a TV in her cell or something. What come on, just we need something. We need something to go on. If I were the Trump administration, and maybe it is this situation where there's some national security thing, there's some assets, or there's some things that we don't want to blow up. I would find the lowest people on the rung, the lowest rung in those organizations, and I would feed them to the public. Here are some of the people. Here we got them. It's like, there are others, but we can't discuss it because of this. But here's this guy, and here's this guy, and here's this guy, all in orange jumpsuits.
People at the top of the food chain too.
Now, of course, that's absolutely what we want, as ultimately, and that's, I think, the reason why there's this conflict there, or that seems to be the reason between the conflict between Bondi and Epstein.
And Patel's been very, very quiet.
He's been very quiet. I'm surprised.
Yeah, and honestly, Bongino really hasn't said anything publicly. This is all rumors through a lot of conservative media and some national mainstream media as well. So the scorecard, basically, Bondi gets points because the president comes out in her favor.
Right.
Bongino, I don't know if he's just trying to salvage a reputation that's taken a hit by being a part of this. Patel, kind of neutral. We don't know what's going on with him. And I think the president has really lost some ground with some of his most dedicated supporters, because they're saying, we're promised. And you're now not only not delivering, but you're saying it was never there, when before you've said it was there and we've got it and we're going to release it. Here's part one, which turned out to be not much at all.
If Bongino resigns, anybody surprised?
No, but where does he go? I mean,
that's a good point. He can't go straight back.
He doesn't
radio.
go right back to his media empire. He's given a lot of that away.
Now, as we figure out the chaos and the confusion going on within the administration, that raises the question: should the Trump administration double down on a hardline approach to illegal aliens? Yes. We're talking to Congressman Bob Onder about that at 7:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog lifts into a deck of partly cloudy skies as the morning progresses. And then this afternoon, maybe an isolated storm or two possible, mainly south of St. Louis. It's going to be a muggy day, but not overly hot, a high of 87. Partly cloudy and dry overnight tonight, down to 73 for the low. And then chances of wet weather a bit higher tomorrow with about a 50% chance of rain and storms, up to 89 degrees Tuesday afternoon. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Back pain? Follow me to Esquire Sports Medicine, where they've got your back. Esquire is the oldest sports medicine clinic in St. Louis. Dr. Draghi and his team of chiropractors can get you back to work, back to life without the pain. New patients usually scheduled within 24 hours. 314-644-0885. 644-0885. EsquireSportsMedicine.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on Newstalk STL.
When my girls were small, we often sent them to a Christian-based summer camp. They loved the experience. Each year they wanted to go back, even when older, going back as counselors to help younger girls. That's pretty much the story of Camp Mystic in Texas for almost 100 years. And for decades, Camp Mystic was run by Dick Eastland. He was always aware of possible flash flooding. In fact, he served on a board to set up a special alarm system. But in time, the system wasn't maintained, eventually of no real use. But Eastland was always watching. This flooding came in the middle of the night, and Eastland died trying to save a couple of his campers. One of the camps my girls attended didn't have a river, but it had a large lake. And one of the things they would do is kayak on the lake. One year, a storm just suddenly blew up, torrents of rain and water. One of my girls had her kayak flipped upside down, but she was able to get upright again and get off the lake. I didn't know about that story for several years, but when I heard it, I almost dropped to my knees. I share it to remind you, hug your children.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on Newstalk STL.
I want to tell you more about Wellington Environmental's dustless blasting services. Wellington can blast paint, grease, graffiti, even stripes off parking lots. Truly amazing and powerful. But can Wellington blast something more sensitive? Yes, Wellington can use dry ice to blast soot and odors off smoke-damaged surfaces right after a fire. Currently, Wellington uses dry ice to clean mold off wood inside a home. Why? Well, dry ice immediately disappears, turns into a vapor. That means no mess to clean up, no damaged surfaces. You need to check with Wellington. Always researching and practicing with new, better, faster, safer equipment and products for you. And it's very easy to schedule an estimator for your next project. Call Cindy, 314-644-4930, 644-4930. Be well with Wellington.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Replacing your windows and doors? Do not settle for ordinary. Go extraordinary. Renewal by Anderson, the full-service window and door replacement division of Anderson, a name trusted for more than 120 years. Their exclusive FiberX material combines the strength, durability of wood with low-maintenance features of vinyl. You get windows and doors twice as strong as vinyl, energy efficient, built to last. For a limited time, get 25% off every window, patio door, or entry door. No payments for 18 months, 0 interest. This is their best new client discount. Dial pound 250, say the keyword windows, or visit rbastl.com. Pound 250, keyword windows, rbastl.com. Get your free estimate. Renewal by Anderson. Superior products. Exceptional service.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the NewsTalk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on NewsTalk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, smuggled children working on pot farms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Gavin Newsom's California. That's going to be America if the left gets its way. I'm convinced of it at this point. We're now joined by Congressman Bob Onder. It is 7:37 right now. Congressman, great to chat with you. I want to get to the situation with the ICE raids, because essentially the left is putting the Trump administration into a position of, are you going to double down or are you going to de-escalate? And I want to talk about that here in just a couple minutes. But first, let me talk about, and I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is regarding these rescission, first rescission package, the first vote. What's the status of that? And I guess what I'm asking for is a lay of the land here, Congressman. What's your read on the likelihood that this rescission package, which obviously if it passes Congress, it's approved because the president asked for it himself. What's your read on the likelihood that it passes? And should we be hopeful that there will be more rescission packages in the future? Because we're actually talking about the few times where we've got real, actual, documentable spending cuts by the federal government.
Well, great to be back, guys. Yeah, the rescission package passed to the U.S. House of Representatives close to a month ago. It was well before the Independence Day recess that we ended up going back to pass the big, beautiful bill that week. But it was about a month ago that the U.S. House passed that rescission package. And again, a rescission package is a document, a bill that the president submits to Congress, requesting to cut out spending. And it's about $9.4 billion. It cuts that money from National Public Radio, PBS, and then some foreign aid programs, especially USAID. Why this wasn't taken up immediately and passed by the Senate, I don't know. I know some of the moderate Republicans in the Senate are talking about not wanting to defund public radio or PBS. One or two are talking about not wanting to cut foreign aid.
Oh, gosh.
So I think at the end of the day it gets done. But as far as other rescission packages, yes, I do think the Trump administration will be sending more rescission packages our way.
Morning, Bob. Gabe here. So just for a little clarification, what is the difference between a rescission package and, let's say, one of these the larger spending bills? Just functionally speaking, are there any kind of process differences?
Yeah. So the usual way, what we call regular order of passing a budget, is by passing 12 individual appropriation bills through the House, through the Senate, signed by the president. Now that hasn't happened. Regular order hasn't happened in many years. So most of the spending in recent years has been done through continuing resolutions. But continuing resolution is kind of like a budget. And the president signs it, that money is appropriated. A rescission bill is where the administration, the executive, submits to Congress a request. These are items that I would like to cut from the budget. So money has been appropriated to NPR and PBS, and and USAID, the Trump administration is saying we would like to cut out this $9.4 billion of spending, and that requires a simple majority vote in the House and in the Senate. I hope we can get it done. I mean, heaven knows that's an extremely modest amount of money in the big scheme of things, and NPR itself says that federal funding is only about 5% of their budget. So I don't know what the big deal is, what the holdup for these senators is, but I'm hopeful we can get it done.
Is there any excuse for Republicans in the U.S. Senate to not pass this rescission package as it stands and as it was passed in the House? Because I'm trying to find any sort of reason to be generous, and I cannot find a single reason why the Republican-controlled Senate should not make this something that moves fast, because my understanding is there actually is a time limit under the procedures.
Yeah. We're getting close to the deadline. I think we're no more. I forget the exact deadline, but we're no more than a week or two out before the rescission bill just expires and dies. But I find no reason whatsoever. I mean, why in the world in a free democratic republic we should have state-run radio and state-run TV that forwards a particular ideological agenda? That's utterly ridiculous. And any good that is done by any of these foreign aid programs is duplicated by dozens of others. So I see no reason why this rescission package isn't a no-brainer, why every Republican doesn't vote for it.
What's the likelihood for more of these coming, and how deep can the cuts get through this process?
Well, they can get as deep as the president wants to request. Again, I keep saying the president here, not to pass the buck, but that is how the rescission process works. The Office of Management, the president's OMB, submits the rescission request to us. But I think they could get very aggressive. I hope that other of my colleagues have the appetite to cut spending that I do, because heaven knows with a $36 trillion debt, interest on our debt exceeding our defense budget, we're in a world of hurt financially. We've got to do something about it. We did something about it in the big, beautiful bill. We cut $1.6 trillion over 10 years of mandatory spending. But that's just a down payment on what needs to be done.
Let's talk about where we are with the effort to basically find illegal aliens and the deportation. It seems like the left's increase in violence has put the Trump administration in a position to say, okay, this is becoming more violent. The left is demanding that the Trump administration de-escalate. Secretary Noem, Border Czar Tom Homan, and the president himself say, no, if you don't like it, then stop breaking the law, basically. But things are getting ugly. And then we see what happened in California with children working cannabis farms and children who are in the country illegally to start with. So this is ugly all the way around. Where do we go from here? I mean, is the argument, okay, let's find a way to de-escalate and deal with it on a policy level, or we're already gone this far. Let's double down, and we need to find those who are breaking the law.
Yeah, guys, we've got to enforce the law. There's no law that these ICE agents are enforcing that hasn't been around for decades and decades. The last major rewrite of federal immigration law was the 1965 immigration law, and then of course there was the amnesty bill that was supposed to come along with some border security during the Reagan administration. These laws, it's been against the law to enter a country illegally or to overstay visas for decades. And all the president is doing, the ICE agents are doing, is enforcing the law. So yeah, over 300 illegal aliens arrested, on this marijuana farm on Thursday, including 14 children, some of them quite young, 13, 14, in forced labor. One of those illegals overseeing those children had been convicted of attempted kidnapping and child exploitation. So, and then the violence against the ICE agents, throwing rocks and bricks, shooting at ICE agents. And, I squarely put the blame here on the political class on the left. Governor Gavin Newsom, Mayor of Los Angeles Karen Bass, the ACLU attorney in the case of the California injunction issued Friday, Mohammed Tazar, he called the ICE agents marauding bands of masked rifle-toting goons. I mean, with that kind of rhetoric and that kind of venom coming out of the political class, no wonder some radicalized Americans and others are resisting and even committing violence against ICE agents. The left needs to tone down the rhetoric, but the President Trump and ICE absolutely need to keep going. We cannot have just violence and protests prevent us from enforcing immigration law. Remember, this started with Biden letting 10, 12 million illegal aliens into our country.
All right, Congressman Bob Onder, I really appreciate, as always, the update from Washington, D.C. We're going to talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
All right, just ahead here, boy, with everything going on here, Gabe, I'd like for you to tell me something good here in just a few minutes.
But before that, now Larry Connor's commentary was about a tragedy that has us counting our blessings. So we look forward to hearing what he has to say today from 6 to 8.
And right after that, you'll definitely need to hear something good.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to talk about one of the biggest stories of the last decade actually having a happy ending.
Oh, good.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball. It's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands. Because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody. It's our favorite song. Hi, Barbie. It's time to sparkle and shine at Barbie Game Day on Wednesday, July 30th at Busch Stadium. Grab a special theme ticket and take home an exclusive Barbie Cardinals jersey, where glam meets game day. Dress in pink, bring your squad, and celebrate the brand that proves you can be anything. It's all about confidence, possibility, and playing your way. Snag your tickets now at cardinals.com/theme.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Hey, St. Louis golfers, looking for a new golfing experience? Sugar Creek Golf Course was voted the most popular golf course in St. Louis. Book your tee time today at sugarcreekgolfcourse.com and join the fastest growing golf community in town, sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Anyway, you will never understand it cause it happens too fast. And it feels so good, it's like walking the glass. It's so good, so hip, it's like...
Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at NewsTalkSTL.com.
All right, 7:50. Gabe? Tell me something
good. Well past midnight on June 26th, Rocky the dog sat on the ground floor of a home in Himachal Pradesh state in northern India, barking and howling loudly. June being monsoon season in India, rain was teeming down, but Rocky's owner, Lalit Kumar, could hear the dog through his sleep and the weather. Quote, when I reached him, I saw a huge crack in the wall and water was pouring in, Lalit said. An awful thing to find so late at night, to be sure, but when Lalit went downstairs to wake up the rest of his family, that's when he saw it. A wall of onrushing water and earth coming down the mountain towards the town.
Oh.
There was a landslide headed straight for their village. So grabbing the dog and his family, he ran along the streets, waking neighbors until 22 families had assembled and fled to high ground. Moments later, the landslide arrived and wrecked 12 out of 17 homes in the village in a wave of mud and debris.
But nobody got hurt because the dog made sure that the owner was safe.
That's how it works.
Wow.
67 people live there, each and every one owing their lives to Rocky the dog.
Tell me something good.
I love those stories, by the way, where the dog saves life, because we don't deserve dogs. They're awesome. Now, this is the story that I teased earlier. A decade after lead-contaminated water was found in the Michigan City's water system, that of Flint, Michigan, by the way, the battle to replace lead water pipes is basically finished. So the Flint water crisis began in 2014 after lead-contaminated drinking water was found to be leaching out from aging pipes into homes citywide. A coalition of advocacy groups mobilized the citizenry and filed a lawsuit against Flint and Michigan state officials to secure safe water. The result was a settlement in March 2017, under which a federal court in Detroit ordered Flint to give every resident the opportunity to have their lead pipes replaced at no cost, as well as conduct comprehensive tap water testing and several other mitigation programs. On July 1st, the state of Michigan submitted a progress report to federal court confirming that nearly 11,000 lead pipes were replaced and more than 28,000 properties were restored to water service. So technically, the work isn't quite done, but there are 4,200 buildings where lead pipes remain. They've either been abandoned or vacant or have declined the free replacement for some reason. I guess they like their tainted water. In any case, for all intents and purposes, in the words of Pastor Alan C. Overton of the Concerned Pastors for Social Action, we are finally at the end of the lead pipe replacement project. The Flint water crisis is over.
Wow.
Tell me something good.
You know, a couple years ago down the World Series in Florida when I was playing, I played against Flint.
Oh, yeah.
The Flint Tigers.
Okay.
And we made terrible jokes.
I was going to say.
We're like, this was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Baseball guys.
We're like, hey, we got this one. We know they ain't hydrated.
You know, lead poisoning eats the brain.
We did beat them.
Okay. All right. In our last story here, a trial investigating the potential for a gene therapy to correct congenital deafness in children and young adults saw all 10 participants gain auditory ability. So the younger patients, especially those between the ages of 5 and 8, responded best to the treatment. One of the participants, a 7-year-old girl, quickly recovered almost all her hearing and was able to hold daily conversation with her mother 4 months afterwards. So roughly 200,000 people worldwide are deaf due to a mutation in a gene called OTOF, which was the target of the therapy. These mutations cause a deficiency of the protein otafrolin, which plays a critical part in transmitting the auditory signals from the ear to the brain. So that there's a broken connection there because of genes. So the therapy involved uses a synthetic virus to deliver a functional version of the OTOF gene to the inner ear via a single injection. Hearing improved in all 10 patients aged between 1 and 24, and the treatment was well tolerated. So, quote, this is a huge step forward in the genetic treatment of deafness, one that can be life-changing for children and adults, says Maoli Duan from the Department of Clinical Science, Intervention, and Technology for the Karolinska Institute in Sweden. The research will now expand towards treating other, more complicated genetic causes of deafness.
Wow.
Tell me something good.
Now, to help you plan to have a good week, Tuesday is National Gummy Worm Day. I love those.
I try not to eat them now, but I love those.
I can see the kids just running around with them hanging out of their mouth because it's hilarious.
Kids loved those.
Gummy worms are the thing, man. Wednesday is National Hot Dog Day. I thought that was the 4th of July.
I would think so, yeah.
But apparently it's Wednesday. Thursday is National Tattoo Day. Not my thing, but
it's our daughter's thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, between your daughter and my daughter, I don't know.
They got a lot of ink.
I don't know who has more ink.
They got enough ink for both of us. Now, if you're proud of your tats, go ahead and show them off on Thursday and get your accolades for those who think they're cool. Friday is National Caviar Day. Have you ever been a fan of? Have you ever had caviar?
I've never had.
Have you ever had caviar?
It's not great.
Okay.
No.
So you've managed to actually have some, and you're like, what's the big deal?
I really don't get what the big deal is.
I don't either. But hey, if you're a fan, Friday is your day. And today is National, and everybody loves this, Mac and Cheese Day.
Oh heck yeah, exactly.
Good news, everyone.
Yeah, I love the mac and cheese.
By the way, maybe we should put the question out on social media. If Gabe or I were to get a tattoo, what should it be?
Ooh.
That's a good
Do you have
question.
any ink, Jerome?
No, I'm still blank.
Yeah. Okay. So what should ours be?
Yeah. That's
So let us
a
know.
good question. Yeah. What would you expect, and where? Where should it go?
Oh, that could be dangerous. That could be dangerous.
And where would you expect if we were to have ink? Where would you expect it, and what would you think it should be?
So send us note on any of the social media or email us what tattoos should we get if we're going to get tattoos.
And the best response, we'll do a live tattooing of Brian in studio.
As soon as somebody sponsors it, right? National Hot Dog Day. How do you guys do your hot dogs?
Chicago style.
Huh?
Oh, I was gonna say grill.
Well,
with,
yeah, you got to do grilled.
with sauerkraut and relish and mustard and relish, or
Okay.
mustard and ketchup.
Yep, Chicago style.
Yeah. See, I do mine like kid style still.
Okay.
I would melt some grilled definitely,
Mhm.
but put some cheese on it, and then I'll do relish, and then I'll do ketchup actually.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. That sounds
No
right.
ketchup.
No ketchup.
I know people. Some people like anti-ketchup. People
Yeah,
are like
seriously
anti-ketchup on that. No, relish and ketchup. That's what I do.
Works
which
for me.
Apparently gets me judged.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
I've got a great evening planned for you. We start with dining at the Oak Street Inn Lounge in Connellville. We enjoy sunset on the rooftop, then down to the speakeasy. Just one visit, you're going to see why I'm always talking about the Oak Street Inn and Lounge. Plus, you might want to plan a staycation, a romantic getaway. Check out oakstreetinandlounge.com for various events this summer. Oak Street Inn and Lounge, Cottleville. Oak Street Inn and Lounge, Cottleville.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL.
I'm Greg Clugston in Washington.
9 residents in an assisted living facility in Massachusetts died in a late-night fire. Fall River Fire Chief Jeffrey Bacon.
We responded to an alarm at the Gabriel House, which is located directly behind me. Crews were met with heavy fire coming through the main entrance and multiple people hanging out the windows looking to be rescued.
Audio courtesy of WLNE ABC 6. At least 30 people were injured, including 5 firefighters. Tragedy at a Baptist church in Kentucky. Lexington Police Chief Lawrence Weathers says a gunman opened fire yesterday morning.
4 individuals were shot on church property. 2 female victims were pronounced deceased at the scene. The other 2 victims, both male, were transported to a local hospital. 1 victim was reported to have sustained critical injuries, and the other was reported in stable condition. The suspect was shot by responding law enforcement and was pronounced deceased at the scene.
Audio from WLEX 18. European trade ministers are meeting in Brussels after President Trump announced 30% tariffs on the European Union.
Brussels has delayed retaliatory tariffs initially set for Monday to allow time for negotiations until the 1st of August. European leaders have emphasized unity but are preparing countermeasures if talks fail. Meanwhile, the EU is strengthening ties with Asia and South American nations, seeking to diversify its economic partnerships amid ongoing tensions with the US. I'm Karen Shamas.
The president also announced 30% tariffs on Mexican goods. Stock futures are lower this morning. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Hi, my name's Neil. I have some advice for you if you've been trying to break free from credit card debt. You can start by doing what I did. Get your bills together and call Trinity Debt Management. Trinity is dedicated to helping people like me become debt-free. When I called, my first experience was a feeling of relief. My counselor was kind, and best of all, she didn't judge me. In just a few minutes, she helped me figure out a plan that consolidated all my bills into one lower monthly payment. This substantially reduced my high interest rates and put me on the road to success. In the end, I saved thousands in interest, and today my credit card debt is a thing of the past.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Neil. Take it from someone who's been there. Call Trinity and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
Debate over President Trump's sweeping budget and policy package is
from the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog lifts into a deck of partly cloudy skies as the morning progresses. And then this afternoon, maybe an isolated storm or two possible, mainly south of St. Louis. It's going to be a muggy day, but not overly hot, a high of 87. Partly cloudy and dry overnight tonight, down to 73 for the low. And then chances of wet weather a bit higher tomorrow with about a 50% chance of rain and storms, up to 89 degrees Tuesday afternoon. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Looking for family fun that's different? Rev up your weekend at AAA Motor Speedway in Owensville, Missouri. We're Missouri's second largest asphalt go-kart track, offering thrilling racing and safe family entertainment for all ages and skill levels. Experience the rush as you navigate every curve and straightaway. Private events available. Create memories that last a lifetime at AAA Motor Speedway. Thank you to all of our veterans for your military service. We salute you. Visit AAAMotorspeedway.com and experience the rush today.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Gabe Phifer.
Take a computerized Vulcan mind such as yours and make that kind of a statement.
Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
This job can be done by a monkey with a bottle of Motrin.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
The left is pulling the heartstrings at the poor, defenseless, illegal aliens in alligator Alcatraz.
Oh yeah, they're crying about it.
They're crying about it.
Crying crocodile tears.
Man. Also, the president reflects on 1 year since that bullet nicked his head.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals are now partway through the season. We got the All-Star break, but they go in on a good note. It is 8:05 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you here.
The morning news dump brought to you by Common Sense Rentals.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, so as we told you about on Friday, Governor DeSantis was allowing some Democratic lawmakers to tour Alligator Alcatraz over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
Yeah.
And Florida Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz was appalled.
So she had a fainting couch moment.
She was appalled at what she found.
The conditions that we saw inside this internment camp, which it is nothing less than that description, were really appalling.
Worms in the food. That's actually one of the things they were claiming. Yeah,
What was she literally clutching her pearls when she said this?
Yeah,
it feels like she was.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny part on all this, I'm going to say the funny part, it's supposed to be rough.
Yeah, it's jail.
It's literally you are there because you broke our laws and you're on the way out.
You're a terrible person. Did they describe any of the individuals who were there?
No, we don't do
okay, so the fact that they were, rampant internationally recognized gang members, that had nothing to do with it.
Oh.
Like the various felons who had committed drug and violent offenses in America.
Why are you getting into these fringe details?
So we have to give them more than bologna sandwiches for lunch.
Yeah,
we have to give them caviar on caviar day.
Right.
Is that what we're talking about?
Oh my gosh. All right. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin was responding to that on Fox's The Big Weekend Show.
These are air-conditioned facilities. People have 3 meals a day. They get better health care than they probably have had in their entire lives. As immediately upon entrance, they get a medical evaluation and then medical care as those doctors and nurses see fit.
Okay. So, this is one of those, and going back to Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz's comments, internment camp.
Ugh, it's disgusting.
Okay, so this is clearly trying to relate holding illegal aliens, criminal illegal aliens,
at that,
and comparing that to both the Holocaust and also the brutal rounding up of American citizens and legal immigrants in World War II who happen to be of Japanese descent. So trying to compare our catching criminals to these two types of things just shows what an absolutely low character person Debbie Wasserman Schultz is.
Absolutely.
And she's not low character because she has a D behind her name.
Right.
She has low character because it's being shown by her saying things like this.
It's a disgusting comparison.
Right.
It really is. Look, 3 hots and a cot plus air conditioning is more than our boys and girls on the front lines get at the forward operating bases in some of these countries, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
So take it easy there, lady.
Yeah. All right. A federal judge in Los Angeles issued a temporary restraining order against ICE on Friday, saying that the agency likely violated constitutional rights through its immigration enforcement tactics. Here's Congressman Andy Biggs on the Fox Report this weekend responding to that.
The judges here in California and the district courts that are stopping these raids, they are not protecting the citizens of this country, nor are they following the law, in my opinion.
By the way, we spoke with Congressman Bob Onder about this just a little bit ago. Check out that podcast because the congressman actually quoted part of that ruling that I actually had not even read. And it's remarkable how extremist this judge actually is. And it shows you just by his description of federal law enforcement and local law enforcement who's working with them, just how just how disgusting and grotesque this ruling actually is.
The Trump administration should have an official response to this, and I think it should be on White House letterhead. It should go on the website. It should be tweeted out. It should say, "No, shut up." That should be the response. The entirety of the response to this ruling. It's stupid.
All right, President Trump reigniting the trade war by notifying multiple nations about the new tariffs that they are going to be charged, that eventually all of us are going to pay.
Over the course of the last week, the president sent letters to his foreign counterparts informing them about their new trade taxes. He began by announcing a 25% tax on imported goods from Japan and South Korea, two key allies. Later in the week, the president told Canada that its exports to the U.S. will be hit with 35% tariffs. The White House says the tariffs are set to take effect August 1st. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, so before we brace ourselves, we've had deadlines set before only to have the president extend them, delay them, issue carve-outs. And so there's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen. If these go into effect, understand that stuff's going to start getting more expensive after whatever lag time, depending on the product itself. Some of it pretty quick. Other parts, it'll take a little while for that to lag, but it will drive up the cost of living in this country.
Interestingly enough, I think the market has gotten used to the back and forth on this. So it's not responding in as volatile a way as it has in the past. Like you'd see an announcement, the market would either shoot up or shoot down depending on what that announcement was. But nowadays it's just like, well, we're going to wait until something actually happens. And I think that's probably the smarter thing to do market-wise. Here's hoping that the negotiations go well and we can stop all this tariff.
And
talk.
hopefully we get rid of those and the tariffs don't go into place.
Exactly.
All right. Over the weekend, it was the 1-year anniversary of the first assassination attempt. And we're talking about the campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. President Trump was asked about that this weekend at Joint Base Andrews. And he says he credits his survival to divine intervention.
God was protecting me. Maybe because God wanted to see our country do better or do really well, make America great again. But God was protecting me.
Now, just to point things out, Jesus does not wear a red MAGA hat.
No,
Can
no.
I just point?
No.
There's the humility of God protected me, which is the right thing to do.
That's the right response.
But not
gratitude.
But then, because he wants the country to do great. No. God, listen, God doesn't love the United States any more than any other. I don't think he loves nation states. It's individuals and people. But I'm just like, you had it right, and then you had to go do that. You just couldn't help yourself.
God is he's neither Democrat or Republican. He's a monarchist because he is the king of everything.
Precisely. Oh my goodness. All right. And that's one of the weird things that when it happened, it was such an awful thing, but there's so many people that made it into a pseudo religious event, which is so bizarre to me. And unhealthy and toxic.
Donald Trump is not a divine figure.
No,
he's no more than when Reagan was saved from his assassination attempt, things like that. God didn't make sure that Lincoln died.
No,
you know what I mean?
Or Kennedy,
or Kennedy, right? Exactly. So it's just like, just relax, guys.
Yeah,
chill.
But there is nothing wrong with saying, thank God that his life was spared.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's the right response.
Okay. You notice gas prices going down?
Like by a lot.
Yeah. Gas prices fell a considerable amount over the last couple of weeks alone. Oil industry analyst Trilby Lumberg, who publishes the Lumberg survey, goes into a little more detail.
Gasoline prices have dropped 9 cents per gallon in the past couple of weeks, and the price for regular grade now averages $3.22. And it's a big discount from a year ago, 39 cents lower now.
And Lundberg says basically this is a balance of supply and demand at the moment. It's nothing too terribly complicated. So she expects prices to remain fairly stable in the coming week or two. And then after that, we'll see what that stability looks like. I think that it was 288 or 289 that I filled up with a few days ago on the Missouri side. A lot more expensive on the Illinois side. But on the Missouri side, I'm seeing basically the 280 somethings around the Missouri side. Is that what you guys are seeing?
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, we are at the All-Star break for Major League Baseball here. The Cardinals go into the break at least on a winning note. Jay Monte's Braves won the series, but the Cardinals got the win on Sunday. Final score at Busch Stadium was 5-4. The All-Star game is Tuesday. It's tomorrow in Atlanta. Redbirds are in third place in the division, 6.5 games behind the Cubs. They resume play on Friday in Arizona. And by the way, this All-Star game in Atlanta Yeah, is that where you were about
That's
to go?
where I was going to go because it's funny. It's funny to me because you reminded me last time we talked about this was it was supposed to be in Atlanta last time, right?
Or a couple years
back.
years ago. Yeah.
Now that was in the midst of all the discussions about voter ID and things like that, and for some reason MLB was like, "Hey, Georgia, because you are going to disenfranchise black voters with your crazy voter ID laws."
Yeah, which, by the way, before you finish that statement, remember, this was in response to the Georgia legislature putting a voter ID requirement into law, and then Major League Baseball did
this. They said, "Hey, that's going to disenfranchise black voters. So we're going to take the All-Star game
as punishment.
We're going to take the All-Star game from the blackest city in America, Atlanta, basically, and we're going to put it in Denver, the whitest city,
one of the
whitest cities in America." So he's like, and that's because we love black people,
right? So, so this is kind of the make good.
Is the make
on that by Major League Baseball.
Your indifference. Stop right now. You're gonna blow us out.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men.
His remarks are racist.
On NewsTalk STL.
Taste the difference that fresh local makes. Anthony's Produce supports our local farmers by bringing you the finest locally grown produce in town. From the juiciest peaches and melons to the sweetest corn and ripest tomatoes, we've got it all. Plus, discover our amazing selection of locally made jams, salsas, pickles, and fresh sourdough breads. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6:30, and Sundays, 8 to 5. 701 Jungerman Road in St. Peters, or visit anthonysproduce.com.
Let's talk turf. Let's talk lawns. Let's talk about Hydrodynamics Core can help with both. Tim Jones here for Hydrodynamics Core, a St. Louis family-owned and operated company since 1973, which will help you have what every homeowner wants: lush green grass, thriving plants and shrubs. With their annual 6-step process of weed prevention and fertilizations that you should sign up for today, the Hydrodynamics Turf Plan will deliver a beautiful lawn you and your family will absolutely love. Get started now by visiting hydrodynamicscore.com. That's hydrodynamicscore.com.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at intervine.com.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
Female, millennial, Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, and let's talk tattoos here because we had that that story a little bit ago.
Yeah, because I think it was Wednesday. I think is National
Tattoo Day.
Yeah.
So I put the question out: what tattoos should we? Because nobody in this room has any ink.
Nobody.
Ink. Nope.
Yeah, and I have no desire for it.
Yeah.
But if you have a really cool idea, maybe.
Corporeal Being says, "Don't tread on me."
Okay.
Snake.
Yeah. That sounds about right for you in particular, Mike.
Yeah.
It's
maybe,
a libertarian kind of thing.
But then he goes on to say Gabe's tat would need to be a superhero, specifically probably Superman, which, by the way, we'll get to that.
Yep, he's not wrong.
Here. So let's see here. No, Jerome. Really? Teardrop? A tattoo teardrop? Really? I say as I'm reading that from my reading glasses down on the end of my nose. Yes, that's
yes.
Oh,
now what is this in the language of tattoos? What is the teardrop again? Is that
like I've done
time? You've done time in prison.
For the record, I've never done prison time.
Or you've killed somebody.
Yeah, I've
Is
never.
it you killed somebody or you've done time in prison?
Where I'm from, that's what it symbolizes.
You killed somebody. Okay, all right.
Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
So
well,
yeah.
I mean,
and you keep slaughtering all of those old man baseball people at the game. So
that's right. Yeah.
Crushing them.
It's funny because at one point I like haphazardly made a deal with my daughter that I didn't mean, and because believe it or not,
you got caught, man.
Here is how hard the game of baseball actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I have been playing since the late 1970s. I have never won a championship.
Right. Of any sort of league that you were a part of.
No. I mean, I was on the team that won the conference one year in high school, Camp Point Central Panthers back in 1988. But we didn't win the state championship. And I've made it to the quarterfinals in the national tournament before. I've made it to the finals here in St. Louis, in a league, but I've never actually been on a championship team.
Right.
That's how hard it is to win a championship in baseball. I've been playing for that long and I've still not won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And at a moment of being goofy or whatever, my daughter who she likes tattoos.
She's in love with the ink.
She's got a lot of ink.
Same as mine.
And it's funny. She's like, well, what would you get?
Right.
And it was funny because what I came up with was like a skull and crossbones, except the skull is a catcher's mask.
Right.
And the crossbones would be baseball bats.
Yes. And that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
that does sound pretty cool.
And at some point I said, like, yeah, when I win a championship, I'll get that.
Right.
And she's like, oh, I'm holding you. I'm like, oh,
yeah, you should have said it because you're gonna have to argue with if you ever win a championship.
If I ever win a championship,
you're gonna have to argue with her about that.
She's gonna bribe the team to throw the game.
Probably, yeah, exactly. So that's what it came up with. So I'm actually like, I'm gonna ask Grok to draw that to see what that looks like.
There you go. And actually, you could have them draw it as a tattoo on somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're right. Yeah. And then my other question is where would I get? Okay, because if I'm gonna get
suggestion was a Superman.
If I'm gonna get a Superman shield, where is it right on my chest?
That's what they're saying.
Straight on. Okay, that's one.
I mean, or maybe like the Iron Man, like the glowing heart.
The arc reactor. Yep. I could do one of those. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of the Superman, the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so the new Superman movie is out.
Yes.
I have not seen it, but you did see it.
I saw it. Janet and I went on Sunday.
Okay, so every time there's like a new superhero movie, there's now the whole conservative media debate.
Is it woke?
Oh, is it woke? Yeah.
Yes.
Because one of the guys brought that up in the dugout the other day before our game. We're just kind of talking. And I said, I haven't seen it. And he said, one of my teammates, he says, well, I hear it's really bad. I hear it sucks. I hear it's all woke and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Right.
One of my other teammates, Larry, he said, I just saw it last night. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. He said, what's wrong with it? I'm like, I haven't seen it. I don't know, but you have seen it now.
I have seen it. Now,
okay.
Now, before I get into my like 2-second review, I think part of the problem was after, I think it was 2019. 2019 was kind of the heyday of superhero movies. It was Endgame. That was the last thing. It made like $2 billion worldwide or something like that. It's something ridiculous. And everybody loved it. Everybody was kind of all in on those movies. And then it kind of the whole genre of superhero movies took a turn, and the commentary sphere of the internet took notice, right? And it launched 1,000 YouTube channels, basically the turn in content there, because you could identify when all the feminist propaganda started entering, when all of the woke ideology started creeping into the way the storytelling was going, because not only did you see those signs, did you see those issues being brought up, but they were terrible. The movies were terrible. They started losing money, and everything was bad. And that primed the commentary sphere to be ready for the next woke thing when they tried another crack at this superhero thing, because they're not going to let it go, because the possibility of all that money is still there. So they're going to keep making these things. So a lot of people went into this movie expecting it, especially given some of the commentary you get. Yeah. That was another thing that kind of became a thing. Is
well, because some of the actors and the producers and the directors, I mean, they're woke. They're Hollywood woke types,
and they feel really compelled to tell a woke narrative in the interviews about the movie. one way or the other. He's like, yeah, what I had in mind
Superman is about an immigrant.
It was an immigrant story, and that was the thing that was making the rounds, was Superman being an immigrant story. And I think, to be fair, part of that was because of a particular journalist who likes to bait the stars. He likes to bait them into making these controversial statements so that, you know, journalism can make hay about it and they can upset MAGA. That's kind of the thing. It's like, let's make MAGA mad. Because it gets clicks.
Which, to be fair, is not hard.
It's not hard to do.
It's not hard.
It's not.
Justify. I mean, the anger is justified a lot.
Like 90%
it's not
of
hard
the
to do.
Yeah, easily done. So I saw the movie.
Okay.
I liked the movie.
Okay.
And I've been very sensitive to a lot of the woke stuff. I've been very
Oh,
sensitive to.
you've called it out.
Yeah, and I saw it coming. When they do it in the comics, I was there, and people were like, you still pay attention to comics? Yeah.
He's that much of a nerd. I've known this guy. I've known you for years.
Yes, it's in my blood.
Yes.
And Superman, oddly enough, is my favorite character.
Mhm.
And he's my favorite character because his actual superpower is that he's good. Because the thing is, if you gave godlike power to an individual, a human, more than likely, if you gave Superman's level powers to anybody, basically you can't nuke this man into death. You know, he would take over the planet. Like that's kind of the idea. Like, I'm not sure I wouldn't take over the planet if I had Superman's powers. Okay, so his actual superpower is that he's good. All he wants to do is save lives, and they drive that home in this movie. That his one driving ethic is he wants to save lives. And now he'll make technically a mistake in wanting to do that, and people kind of start throwing stones at him in that regard. There is a twist in the lore. I'm trying not to do spoilers.
Yeah, don't do a spoiler.
Yeah. I'm not trying to do. There's a change that they made to his origin story that becomes a twist. It's a twist.
You mean as in like he's from Krypton?
He's still from Krypton.
Okay.
He still comes as a baby. He still, grows up in Kansas to these parents. And by the way, the parents being portrayed, I love the way they did it. They were very much basically grandma and grandpa. And it was, I like the portrayals of pretty much all the characters. I liked a lot of the subplots. I liked what's his name as Lex Luthor. I didn't think I would.
I don't know.
I can't even remember his name, but he's one of these teen type kids. But I liked pretty much all of it. So I mean, it's not going to go down in history as the greatest. It's still not. Christopher Reeves is still my Superman.
Okay.
And Dean Cain is a close second.
When I think of Superman, I think of Christopher Reeves.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So this isn't going to supplant that. I still think Henry Cavill had the most potential of a new Superman.
Well,
he was shortchanged.
I mean, he if anybody was born or chiseled to look like Superman, it's Henry Cavill.
It was Henry Cavill. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I watched one of his workouts on one of like the fitness and health like videos YouTube stream, and I'm like, good night. No wonder the guy looks like that.
He was built for it, and he's a nerd like us. Like he was one of us. He was like the chosen one. Yeah. Anyway,
I was going to say the twist is going to be that Clark Kent is actually Lois Lane.
Oh, no.
There you go. That's
real
how you get
alternate
identity.
There it is. There's the identity crisis.
That's how it's.
But there was some criticism over the
immigrant thing.
Well, there's the immigrant thing, but then there's the actual like Superman himself.
Oh, right. Yes.
And you were explaining this in a way that I had never thought of, because I mean, I like a good superhero thing, but not the way that you do.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought you had repeat that perspective that you told me a little bit ago.
Yeah. And I had this discussion with Janet too. And I think the thing is, Superman's character has always been that aw shucks boy from Kansas who just wants to do good. He's very earnest and he wants to do right by, his actions in the world. And in the 1950s, George Reeves, he portrayed the 1950s version of that person. Yeah. Right. Christopher Reeves, he displayed, displayed the 1980s version of that person. Dean Cain, he showed the 1990s version of that person. And I think the thing is, because we grew up with those, because we kind of identify with those a little close, certainly the 80s and 90s versions, we can identify with that character and we recognize Superman in him. Now, this Superman, he's 30 years old, which means he was born in 1995.
So he's a millennial.
He's a millennial.
Millennial Superman.
We have a millennial Superman for the first time, right? So his version of the earnest, well-meaning, just trying to do right with his powers in the world sort of character is going to necessarily come across differently than the previous versions.
Interesting. I never thought of it in those terms.
And we have to acknowledge that. It's like, okay. It's like, I'm not sure Christopher Reeves would have said that or done it that way or come across that way. And I found myself like, man, he sounds like kind of a whiny kid right now. It's like, well, wait a minute. He's a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
It's like my daughter's 27. Yes, he's kind of like whiny kid right now because he's a whiny kid. Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible, by the way. There's like the whiny kid, that's just me kind of projecting a little, more on it.
Basically, but he get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn
kind
of
our
thing.
age.
Yeah, but he's a good Superman. I think this actor did a really good job.
So A through F, what do you grade the Superman film?
I'll give it a B+.
That's not a bad score.
Yeah.
Worth going to see?
Worth going to see.
Okay. All right. We may get some property tax relief in the state. We told you about that just before the weekend, that there's actually a formal effort now. State Representative Ben Keathley going to be with us to update us on that right around 8:34.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog lifts into a deck of partly cloudy skies as the morning progresses. And then this afternoon, maybe an isolated storm or two possible, mainly south of St. Louis. It's going to be a muggy day, but not overly hot, a high of 87. Partly cloudy and dry overnight tonight, down to 73 for the low. And then chances of wet weather a bit higher tomorrow with about a 50% chance of rain and storms, up to 89 degrees Tuesday afternoon. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
President Trump will not tolerate the attacks on our brave ICE agents. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
Attacks on our brave ICE agents have gone up well over 500% in recent months, and it's not hard to see why. The way even elected Democrats speak about and characterize our federal agents is despicable. President Trump agrees. He put out a stern warning to would-be ICE antagonists on Truth Social, and with it directed DHS Secretary Noem and Border Czar Tom Homan to take care of business. From now on, all federal agents on the receiving end of thrown rocks, bricks, or any other form of assault will promptly arrest these slime balls using any means necessary. These agents have total authorization from the president to protect themselves just as they protect the public. This will go a long way in not only deterring the violent attacks on the agents, but will also boost their morale knowing their president has their back 100%. President Trump is for the law and its enforcers. Democrats are for the thugs. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
The Wall That Heals comes to St. Louis County July 24th through 27th at Jefferson Barracks Historic Site. This traveling replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial has brought healing to nearly 800 communities nationwide. Join us as the Vic Percelli Show broadcasts live from the Wall Thursday, July 24th from 9 till noon. Made possible by Best Buy Flooring, Patriot Heating and Cooling, and DG Firearms.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
I think you're a little confused.
News, analysis, opinion.
I've got something to say and I can't hold it any longer.
101.9 and 94.1.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, are we actually going to see some relief from these rising property taxes?
I sure hope so.
You know, this has gone from something that that a lot of people have complained about, and people quietly go, yeah, I agree in concept, but to now it's come to the forefront to where Missourians in particular, you know, I mean, Illinoisans are getting hammered by property taxes, but on the Missouri side, we can actually do something about it. Are we just seeing a case of basically trying to virtue signal, hey, we hear you, with the speaker appointing a commission to take testimony and do research, or are our lawmakers actually serious about it? It is 8:36 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Jerome here. We're now joined by State Representative Ben Keathley. And Ben, I want to get to that in just a minute or so here. But there was a flurry of laws being signed into place this past week. The governor, obviously doing the ceremonial signings, going around the state for a few different places. One that's got a lot of people kind of doing the debate is that repeal of Prop A. Particularly the paid sick leave thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I've said many times on the air, I think voters made a policy mistake on that. I think that was terrible policy. But is there some damage control or optical issues with repealing something that voters passed? Because that vote wasn't really that close back in November.
Well, I think that the problem with these ballot initiatives is voters are told one thing that they're voting on, and they don't see the 50 other things that are parked behind the things that are being shown. I think if voters knew exactly the type of noose they were tying around the necks of all the small businesses in Missouri with that, I can't imagine it would have passed. The problem is whoever has the most money gets to define what the bill is, and it doesn't matter what's actually in it when it goes to the ballot. Mm-hmm. Voters only see the commercials. They were sold that it's about taking care of employees and all that. And there's all this other stuff in regulation that's just going to choke out and strangle Missouri small businesses.
Okay, so the supporters of Prop A said, well, we may have to bring it back, but we'll do it as a constitutional amendment this time around, which then begs the question, okay, this also points to the failure of initiative petition reform that has been proposed and not passed for many years now, predating when you were in the legislature, but you were there when there was an attempt to get initiative petition reform into place. It failed. Now we're in a weird spot because we have to try to undo Amendment 3 with something better.
Yeah, and this is just exhibit 25 in what's becoming really just a horrendously long list of bad policy that no one can get through the legislature because it's bad policy. And yet, so it's just, we'll just go to the voters. We'll lie about what's in it, and then we'll be able to buy our way into the Missouri, not just law, but constitution. This is another example. It's why we desperately need IP reform. It has to be more difficult to amend our constitution than to pass a statute in this state.
Has that message been driven home in the legislature? I mean, you're there. I mean, you're in the meetings, you're in the phone calls, I'm sure on the text chains that are discussing stuff. Has this been driven home? Because it's Republicans who failed on this. But now if we're going to do initiative petition reform, we have to understand it's going to affect the new Amendment 3 debate as well. So we've got some really high stakes stuff that we need to figure out this time around.
Well, remember, you got a good chunk of the state that likes to legislate through the Constitution. I mean, basically anybody who's left to center in this state wants it, and they know that it's not good policy. They know it's not good lawmaking, but they also know that we have a state that has supermajority Republicans. Every statewide office is Republican, and so it's they'll pass leftist legislation however they need to. But the cry out from and then they say, well, they're trying to take the voice of the people away, by doing anything to the initiative petition process. And I think legislators hear that more in Jeff City than they hear the other side, that this is just a ridiculous process when you allow direct democracy to just change your constitution at whim.
Okay, so of the things that were signed into law, though, there were some good things. What would be a highlight for you over the past week? Then I want to talk about this property tax situation.
Well, the personal highlight for me, and I think a pretty far-reaching bill that hasn't gotten a whole lot of attention, was SB 221 that the governor signed, kind of right in between gold and silver and the capital gains elimination tax, capital gains elimination. That one is a regulatory reform piece that basically brings the federal reversal of the Chevron decision that tightens in regulatory agencies to make sure courts are able to strike down overburdensome regulations and red tape with a little more ease. Governor signed that into law. Real excited about that. That touches every single state agency, which is going to have tremendous impacts on Missouri families and Missouri businesses.
Yeah, because what we were talking about basically were the bureaucrats writing regulations and rules and handing out punishments. So basically, unelected bureaucrats being lawmakers, judges, juries, and executioners all at the same time, essentially.
Mm-hmm, correct. And people think, oh, Missouri's a red state. We have all Republicans. Well, it wasn't that long ago that we had, we had a Democrat in the governor's mansion. And we still are dealing with bureaucracies that are largely legacies of a Democrat-run state from the executive level. It's easy to forget over the last 8 years with how quickly Missouri, at least the electorate, has pulled and come to realize the dangers that the Democrat Party is spewing. But the government always lags behind the people.
We're visiting with State Representative Ben Keathley. Okay, so Speaker John Patterson puts together a commission to go around the state holding hearings regarding property taxes and property tax relief and maybe even property tax reform. That's going to start this week. I think it's in Jeff City. Next month, there's going to be a hearing here in the St. Louis area in Clayton. What do you hope that they come up with when it comes to either reporting back to the speaker or offering something for the legislature when it comes to property taxes? Because, years and years and years ago, they were an irritant. Well, now they're actually cost prohibitive for a lot of people, depending on where you live in the area. It's affecting people's lives in very, very different ways. And are we to the point where we're making decisions of government first thinking versus people first thinking?
Right. And I know how serious I've been about it since I got to the legislature. I've been trying to find solutions that we can pass to property tax. I've seen this crisis coming. I mean, I think it was already there 3 years ago, just not everywhere in the state. I know the speaker's serious about it. He comes from Jackson County, which is it's hard to say this in St. Louis County, but to be perfectly honest, Jackson County folks have been hit the hardest of anyone in the state with the property tax scheme that just is constantly strangling them. But it's really all over, and we know that here too. What I'd like to see is overall massive procedural reform. We have the Hancock Amendment in the state over the last couple decades. That has been whittled down by the courts and by other kinds of, legislative loophole tricks that have been taken into basically not really anything. There's no more protection. We need to go through, address a lot of these loopholes and get something better back in place that's going to go back to protecting the voters. There's a lot of things we can do around loopholes for the 5% levies. And, you see all these no new tax hike bond increases that they put on the ballot and voters fall for. It's a lot of that type of stuff we need to rein in. The other thing I'd like to become a part of the discussion is personal property taxes. I think eliminating Missouri's personal property tax financially is something that's very much within reach, and that should be on the table as part of the discussion as well to provide relief for Missouri families.
Now, what would be a better way of taxing then at this point? And the reason I ask that is because, at these hearings, while most of us have jobs and it's going to be tough to go in the middle of the day, testify and give comments on how property taxes are hurting us, but all of those government, divisions, all of those government sub-jurisdictions, the library boards, the school districts, all of them, they're going to be able to send plenty of people to say the sky is falling. if you stop us from increasing our property taxes on people. So how do we get that message across? And if we get rid of personal property tax, which by the way, I completely agree with you, Ben, I think that's absolutely a good starting point. Then the argument's going to be, well, then how do we pay for our ambulances? How do we pay for our libraries? And the school districts are doing their typical wailing and gnashing of the teeth, so then what's a better way to provide those that also protects taxpayers?
Well, I think it's important that legislators are aware how high their property tax bill, how high people in Missouri's property tax bills are going up, especially residential property. Primary residential property is outpacing commercial, industrial, certainly agricultural, land that people are actually allowed to make money on. Residential property, we say you're not allowed to make money on, yet we're taxing that at the heaviest rates now, or at the highest assessments we've seen, because residential property is going up due to the market, and these other places that don't have the same kind of demand. And it's important that legislators understand that. I'm on that committee, and I will certainly be, screaming from the rooftop all the problems we have that have resulted in where we are today. The governments, meanwhile, they will be there. They'll be there in full voice, shouting, like you said, the sky is falling if we can't keep getting revenue. It's important that legislators understand it has never been a better time to be local government. The way they've been able to raise assessments on people while tricking them into voting rate increases on through the ballot, especially school boards. School boards have dwindling enrollments throughout the state. They are losing students, yet they are receiving more revenue and more income from all these sources than they ever have before. There has been a humongous local government revenue boom, which is to say taxes. Taxes are exploding everywhere. Everyday Missourians know that. The government officials need to understand that and pay more attention to their constituents and their voters than they do the local government folks.
I'm so glad you mentioned the assessment on that, because that's something that has to be looked at, because essentially right now it's almost arbitrary. Well, the real estate business says this house has gone up this much. Well, real estate industry has a vested interest in saying the value has gone up this much. And so basically we get very, very real increases in property tax bills because somebody's opinion of what something is worth goes way up. Well, that's arbitrary no matter what. So, I mean, the way that can we look at the way that these are assessed, and can we put limits on how much they can increase in assessment?
I think limits are a good way to do it. I think having some type of transparency in the process, so people can not just know what their property tax bill is when they buy the house or in year 1 or 2, but be able to extrapolate that out and have some idea where it's going. Yeah. The way the levies work, we're supposed to originally do that and provide some type of 5% cap on the houses. That's not been happening. And anyone who's looked at their property tax bill from 2 years ago versus the one they just got in the mail knows that hasn't happened. They know they're paying more than 5% than they did 2 years ago for the vast majority of people. And there are certain procedures in place that we can go after and we can repeal and reform that will make it more difficult for the government to do it. But we need to get back to a place where these things are not just predictable over the next year or two, but people understand they're not going to see a 40%, 30%, 25, 50% markup in year 6 or 7.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, State Representative Ben Keathley. We've tagged you on our social media already, but people want to get in touch, follow you. What's the best way to do it?
Twitter at Ben Keith, and you can follow me online, benkeathley.com. I'm on Facebook as well.
All right, Ben, great talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Okay. I got some follow-up thoughts on this right around 8:51, because the way that these things get assessed, that is a massive, massive part of the problem. And what's happened is this is one of those areas where just in polite society, we don't question these things. And now we're like, wait a minute, polite society has been screwing us over. So we're talking about this because these are making major differences in people's lives. So let me follow up with that, like I said, right around 8:51.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. When life changes, you need someone you can trust. That's Todd Sivia. At Sivia Law, They're dedicated to helping you through all of life's transitions, specializing in estate planning and elder law. With 7 convenient locations in the area, expert guidance is always close by. Call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, or visit civialaw.com. Don't forget, first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me get a free $300 strategy session. Civia Law, helping you protect what matters most.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. So good. It's the au jus that makes it. And the Wagyu beef is pretty good, too. I love Capriati's, and you will, too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So Monday at 9:05, right off the bat, we're going to talk to Gwen Hinman from the Great Wall That Heals at Jefferson Barracks Park.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right, that conversation with Ben Keathley is going to be among the podcasts that go up here in just a little bit here, Jerome.
Yep, hours 1 and 2 are already up, and that one's not far behind.
So go ahead and subscribe. And by the way, you can subscribe to the whole station, News Talk STL, to get those alerts, or you can subscribe to, any individual show like this one as well. Oh, okay, let me tell you, the property tax is really interesting because this is something that was so wonky that, rarely news would even cover it because it was considered so hyper local. And you know what? It's the average home. If you approve, if you approve this tax increase, it's going to, raise the average cost, $50 a year, no big deal, that sort of thing. But it is gotten to the point where it's built up over and over and over again to the point where it's really hurting people.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the school districts and the library boards and all that throwing such a fit over capping senior citizens' property tax liability. They're saying, but we need to be able to raise taxes on them later so we can keep our stuff. And so what you have are governments, and this is nothing we haven't said before. What we have are governments saying we are more important collectively than you are individually.
Yeah.
Now, my libertarianism, my true conservatism, not a lot of the modern conservatism, but my older school conservatism says, no, the individual and the societal unit, being the family, are more important than any government agency or entity or program, period.
Yeah, when the founding fathers had established a nation and they finally figured out what direction to take it, they didn't say, oh, by the way, we're going to need a bunch of your income tax. We're going to need to, tax you on everything we could possibly tax you on. They said, no, we're going to do some sales tax stuff, but you are entitled to the money you earn and you are entitled to the things you buy.
Yeah. And with what I'm so glad that Representative Keathley mentioned this just a few minutes ago, we've got to look at the assessments because, for instance, my home in Richmond Heights, the house in Richmond Heights, the assessments have gone up over $200,000 over the past 2-3 years alone.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Now you ask somebody in the assessor's office or you ask a real estate agent, they're going to go, no. That's just the market value. That's just the way that's what we have to tax it on. No, because what happens is real estate agents, would they rather sell your house for $200,000 or $400,000?
Mm-hmm.
So they've got a vested interest in putting pressure on getting these dollar amounts as high as possible. the school district, the library board, the ambulance district, the whatever district, water, whatever. If they do a property tax, they want those assessments as high as possible. And those are arbitrary. As much as the industry will tell you, well, no, there's a formula, there's a calculation. It's actually science. It's not subjective. It's objective. No, it's not. It's somebody's opinion of what you could possibly sell your home for. This is what we think it would be. Therefore, that's the value. That's what we're going to tax you on. But you haven't sold it for that. Well, it doesn't matter. That's what we think you would get. And it really is that subjective. And it's just a way for them to extract more money from you.
Yeah, and to further the point of that, I mean, some of the reason why housing goes up is because of artificial scarcity, and then the other part is that people are not taking care of their property, and so it's cheaper over here, but that makes your house look better, therefore it's going to go up. So you're basically being punished for taking care of what you have,
or improving your home,
and it's absolutely ridiculous that for so long we've sat there and we've said, this is a great idea, I'm totally on board with this, instead of saying, absolutely not, we're not going to let you punish us for doing the right thing.
And this is beyond the point of being taxed just for actually owning property, not for buying or selling it. We're not talking about a sales tax. We're talking about you own it. Therefore, we're going to take a percentage of it year after year after year after year, just because you own it, because we have collectively decided that our projects here, be it a school district or whatever, must be paid for by you, whether or not you use it. Now that's a much bigger picture argument. My children did not go to public school. I don't believe I should have ever had to pay for it.
Absolutely
My kids are both in their 20s, late 20s. I should not have to pay for it. Morally, I should not have to pay for it. But then you get to the point where they're just simply subjectively saying, we need more money. Let's make sure those assessments go up. And as much as the industry says, that's not how it works, that's exactly how it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you bought a new pair of clothing and they're like, well, your new clothes are more expensive than the last clothes. Let's go in your pockets real quick and see how much money we could take out. I mean, it's blatantly theft. I mean, if any other industry, if anybody else out there did that, we would say, no, you are pickpocketing me. You are robbing me. When it comes to the government, though, apparently there are people out there that think that they are entitled to what we own. How does that make any sense?
Well, we took a vote. We
were
voted.
Wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's the difference between a Republican and a democracy. You don't have the right to just vote my money away from me, although that's the system that we have right now. So what's going to happen is in August, we've got this hearing that's going to happen, and it's boring and it's wonky and listen, you need to get in touch with like Mo Tax Relief Now. You need to get in touch with, the conservative organizations that you trust and say, I've got time, or I'm going to make time, or I'm going to take a couple hours off work and I'm going to go make my voice heard and make sure that you understand all of the issues involved. Now, somebody who wants to do that probably already understands it, but make sure, because what they need to hear is we've got to put a cap on property taxes. I'm not naive enough to think we're going to get rid of them in this state, or either state here, but we need to put a cap on them, and we need to put a cap on the assessment increases. We've got to start starving the beast of government, because that's people first thinking instead of the current government first thinking.
Hey, Jamie